Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the E35 podcast. Tonight I got myself, Hector, also known as CN6, and with me I got Hav
Yo.
and Jazzy.
What up?
And tonight, guys, we are going to be reviewing season 4 of The Boys. And this will be a spoiler review just because the season has been out for quite some time. So yeah, just fair warning, we will be jumping into spoilers. But with that being said, before we get into it, I'd like to remind you guys that you guys can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Make sure you follow our socials at Heat Revision Podcast or go to heatrevisionpodcast.com. You can see all of our links through there. Hav, where can they find you, man?
Only on Instagram. Hav is flying right now.
Mario, where can they find you?
Everywhere at Just Jazzy.
And then you guys can find me at Sing6 everywhere. But yeah, with that being said, man, The Boys, season 4.
Yup.
And this is the first time we're reviewing The Boys on HRV, and that is because
You finally caught up.
I finally caught up this year. Yes, I finally caught up this year to try to review this. And you guys been seeing it, right? Y'all like from the jump.
No, Hav saw it first.
Yeah.
Hav saw it first.
When did that come out? The first season.
I have no fucking idea, but Hav saw it first. And then I started seeing the hype for it. And then that's when I started to watch it. And then I was like, oh my God, this shit's fire. Like, oh, holy shit. And then I watched Gen V, watched that too. And obviously this came out recently.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my history with it.
Okay.
I didn't watch it day one because honestly, when first season came out, I didn't really even hear about it. I'm going to be straight up.
Really?
Straight up. I didn't even hear about it. I don't know about how, but for me, I didn't even hear about it.
I heard about it. When it first came out, I heard about it.
No, not me,
Everyone
man.
was talking about it on social media.
I heard about it too. I just never
Because
seen
when
it.
I watched it, there was 2 seasons out already.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh shit. Is that my phone?
No, that was my phone, my bad.
Oh.
I was like, what the
But
fuck?
yeah, I mean, I barely just saw it this year, guys. I saw the first 3 seasons. Then I saw Gen V. I actually did see Gen V. I saw it before season 4 of The Boys. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're actually going to get into it. I mean, I guess off rip, man. I thought that it was, I guess, the weakest season of The Boys, in my opinion. Especially like the very first half of it. It just, I don't know. It didn't, like the very first couple of episodes, I want to say like episode 2 to 3, it just felt like they were not focusing on creating an actual story and just focusing on like, oh, let's just have these dudes do Human Centipede doing shock value shit. And I don't know, man. I just think that it was like, I didn't really fuck with that. But thankfully that the season ended strong. I'll say that for sure. But yeah, that's my first initial thoughts.
No, I was going to say, I would probably say the same thing. I remember watching the first 3 seasons thinking, like, holy shit, like, yeah, there's shit that's fucked up in this show, like, just like they with a shock factor, but there was actually a story being told from beginning to end. And with this season, it just felt like, I feel like there's no story. It's just a bunch of crazy shit happening. Like that Human Centipede one, bro, when I saw that, I sent it in the group chat. I was like, Hector, there's all caps, like, bro, dude, you're not gonna fucking believe what the fuck I just saw, dude. That shit was fucking disgusting as fuck, man.
Yeah.
But I felt like the beginning of the show, it just wasn't up to the standard that I'm used for The Boys being at, you know?
That's
like,
true. Yeah.
like I'm not I enjoyed Gen V, but like Gen V was better than the beginning of this first half because there's only 8 episodes, right? The first half of this show, in my opinion. And it wasn't until we got like that, I forgot what episode it was, the Homelander one, when he goes into that, I mean, spoilers, we can go ahead.
I think that was episode 4.
It wasn't until there, that's when it picked up for me personally. Yeah, the one where Homelander goes into that bunk.
Homelander,
Right. That's
visits
where
back to the facility.
that's where it picked up for you?
Yeah, where like I started getting my interest, but like not interest back, but like I'm like, wow, like it's actually entertaining me now. In terms of the first 4 or first 3, where it's just, all right, it's not bad. Like I'm not gonna say it's trash. That I'm not saying it's not trash. It's just not to that standard that I'm used to the first
true.
3 seasons.
You know, I also want to say this, like really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Really quickly with Gen V, because I saw Gen V, man. I thought Gen V was solid. I didn't think it was up there with the OG seasons of The Boys.
Oh, we should say rest in peace to the actor in that show that lost his life in a motorcycle accident, I believe.
Yeah, he was, how old was he? 26?
He was young. He was young, like in his
24,
20s.
something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Yeah, rest in peace to him, man. And you know what? It sucks because when we found out about the news, I didn't even see Gen V yet, and I wasn't even caught up with the boys.
No.
And so once I saw Gen V and I saw his character, I'm like, damn. And you know what's fucked up? He was my favorite character.
I was about to say he was my favorite too, man.
He was my favorite character, man.
And I think they're gonna recast him.
What?
No, they're not.
Oh, they're not? Oh, that they were. Oh, my bad, my
man.
bad.
No, the
So I wonder
producers
how they're
put out
gonna-
a note saying that they were not going to recast him.
I could have sworn I saw something like
No.
that. Okay, my bad. Yo.
Wait, Hav, did you see Gen V?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay. Well, he's my favorite character, and he's not even supposed to be the main character. That says a lot. There's some things in the show that happen that just like all right, cool. I thought it was solid. Like I said, it wasn't up there compared to the OG seasons. I would say Gen V, I probably enjoyed it just as much as like this season of season 4 of The Boys. But the characters were great and stuff. I mean, the storyline was pretty interesting as well, but it just wasn't up there. The only highlight of the character that I really liked was that guy that before she passed away, and then the main character just, I don't know. It's just she's supposed to be the main character, but I didn't really connect with her like that. I was like okay, but that's just pretty much it.
I just liked her power. Her power was cool.
That is pretty cool, where she is able to like
Control blood.
control blood and shit. And you know what's kind of fucked up and kind of scary is like the way Gen V ended could kind of like explain, like it's an easy way to like not bring that guy back. You know what I mean? The way it ended. And that's always creepy whenever like an actor dies and then you see the movie that they were in and then it's how it ends. You're like, they have a way that they could cop that out. Or
They
could come up with something easily.
Like an easy out, basically.
Type shit. Yeah, you know what I mean, but it sucks, man, because he was a good character. So rest in peace to him. But anyway, I can't talk much spoilers because Hav hasn't seen it. But yeah, with that being said, man, let's get into it. The Boys. Let's get it. Episode 1.
Episode 1. So the first episode opens up with we find out that the boys are now working under the CIA, and the CIA had basically tasked them to try to assassinate Victoria Newman.
Yep.
But the mission goes sideways. It doesn't go according to the plan because Victoria sniffs him out, finds him in the van. Homelander finds Butcher trying to talk to his son, trying to talk Ryan back into his good graces. Everyone is out doing their own little side quests. Frenchie and Kimiko are trying to get at Victoria's daughter, who we find out from season 3 gets injected with Compound V, and she has those like snakes that come out of her mouth. So each one in their own separate side quest, every plan that they are on goes sideways and doesn't go according to plan. And eventually they end up failing assassinating Victoria Newman. And so when they all get back to the CIA, they're super pissed with the boys. They're just like, if we can't let them take over the White House. They're gonna get there soon, and like we have to annihilate the target. And under all of this stress and all of this pressure from the CIA and trying to take down the Soups and trying to take down Vought and everything is because we find out is like now the new leader of the boys because Butcher kind of goes off grid every now and then. He never goes according to the plan, which is a reoccurring theme that we see in the boys.
Yeah.
And a part of me is like a little 50-50 as to whether I like that or not, but we'll get to that later. But
I was gonna say, man, it's some character development things that I have with Butcher.
Not even with him, bro. It's other characters too, bro. And I have a lot like to say about like what I saw in this season. But yeah, we end up finding out that is now leading the charge. Annie is now part of the boys. We kind of got that from the last season, how it ended. And while at the CIA office, Butcher encounters Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, right? Negan, right, which we know is Joe Kessler, who apparently is like some old friend that he knew back in the day. I guess special forces or whatever. They were friends back then. And they he offers Butcher an offer to work together to take down the Soups, which is something that Butcher has always wanted since day one, is to take down superheroes, to take down Vought and everything, even if it means sometimes going off grid, going off plan with a lot of the shit that they with a lot of the missions they go on with the boys. And then later on, we see that Homelander is getting worried about him aging. Like it's kind of.
Oh
like,
yes,
It's kind of like sus, but we keep seeing him pluck gray pubes out of him and shit. And he's keeping it in a jar. And I think I took this as like, how the fuck could I be aging? I'm a god. Like I shouldn't be doing this or whatever. But he just obsesses over it, and he also feels like he doesn't have like control of the situation that's going on, because this show kind of in a way is trying to like send a message about our real world society, because they have these people that are protesting and rioting, and they're supposed to like represent like what shit's going on right now in the real world and stuff. You have what's called the Starlighters, which is people who are in support of Starlight and her, and like them wanting to take down the Soups and Vought and stuff like that.
Yo guys, what's up? Just wanted to say, if we sound different off rip, that's because we had to relocate, man. The HRV headquarters were getting a bit too loud, so we decided to relocate in Hav's car. The new the HRV mobile.
Mobile.
The HRV I can't even say it. HRV mobile. HRV mobile. Yeah, that's where we at, y'all. But anyway. So, let's get into it. How we left off at...
We were talking about Homelander.
Yes.
And Homelander was obsessing with him and his aging.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, with the whole, like, mobs that are going on currently, we have the Starlighters and then the Homelander supporters going at it and shit like that. And Homelander feels like he cannot control either of the groups. Like, the Homelander group he can control, but it's the Starlighters that are, like, making a whole ruckus, and they keep getting in the way, and Homelander needs that group to be taken care of for when he goes and testifies. So, not knowing what to do, he results in finding a Soup by the name of Sister Sage, whose superpower is literally that she is the smartest person on the planet. And when I first heard that, well, I guess first of all, what did you guys think of Sister Sage? What did you think of her as a character, her power, and like her overall like contribution to this season?
That's a good question. I mean, I thought she was okay. I didn't really think that she was super extraordinary or anything. I thought it was her power. I mean, obviously it's her being the smartest person in the world. I mean, self-explanatory. That's pretty cool, I guess. But if I want to be honest, I don't really think like she was a major contribution in the first half, but then later half it just kind of fell off with her until she just popped up again at the end.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I in general, I thought she was pretty good. I mean, nothing. I don't think she was terrible. I also didn't think she was like whoa out of this world. But she was there to move the plot and kind of like an aha moment, like at the end a little bit. And that's pretty much it.
For me, bro, I think I'm on the opposite. I thought she was a standout.
You think so?
I thought so because her power being that she's the smartest person, she knew how to correct the plans for what Vought wants to do, and Homelander and Newman in their benefit.
Yeah.
Like, she's the one that kind of like suggested the little like ideas, like, well, we should do this. If we do this, then the public will react to this. No, for sure.
That's what I mean. Is like she was impactful in the very beginning, but then don't you remember, like halfway through the season, we just move along from her, and we don't really get much more of her anymore until the very end.
Yeah,
I think that's why I was like, eh.
No, I get you. That does make sense. I think like when we get later in the season, we get to that episode where we're going to Tech Knight's mansion. I feel like she didn't really do much in that episode. So yeah, I guess eventually later on in the show, her relevancy kind of like diminishes. But definitely when she was first introduced.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And then especially because later in this episode, we see her advising that Homelander get some of his like Homelander fans, and like him, A-Train, and Black Noir, the new Black Noir, beat them to death. And then because of that, they take those dead bodies and they put them in the middle of the riots, the protests, and they blame it on the Starlighters for like violence, like protest violence and shit like that. So her knowing like, oh, doing this, like the public will react like this, and this will work in our benefit. Like just kind of her being like a few steps ahead of everything felt really cool until eventually her relevancy just kind of went away.
Yeah.
A little later in the show.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Mario?
I don't know. I think I'm somewhat with Hector on it, because I think in the beginning she was really involved in the story, but at the end she kind of just quietly disappears, even though she still is involved in the story. My main gripe with her is that when you tell me like she's the smartest person in the world, I feel like it's gonna sound weird because she does do this in the show. I feel like she needs to be more like menacing, if that makes sense. Like I feel like she shouldn't fear Homelander at all, if that makes sense. Because at some point she does get scared of him, and I'm just like, if you're the smartest person in the world, I feel like you shouldn't fear Homelander.
Right.
Like for me, I think you should be up there with Homelander, not in terms of strength, but in terms of like how you're able to fucking challenge him, if that makes sense. And she does to an extent, because she does call him out like, hey, you're an idiot, why are you doing this, you're stupid, your plan is flawed. And that's cool to see, you know. The way I kind of view her is that like kind of like Batman and Superman, where like, bro, Superman can kick Batman's ass night and day, right? Like it's an ass whooping, but we still have Batman and Superman as neck and neck. Like, no, bro, it's not a clearing. Batman and Superman, they're good. It's an even fight. And that's kind of how I viewed it with her and Homelander. And so that's where I wanted more of just her to be more, her impact to be felt more. Like when she was on screen, I'd be like, oh shit, it's her. That's what I was kind of expecting. I didn't really get that.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So you didn't really feel threatened by her, or like didn't think that she was going to be a huge problem. Like, you're like, all right.
Yeah. Basically, bro, I
Okay.
I thought she was going to be more of a impactful, because she does impact the story, but I just thought it would be more than what it actually was in the show.
I can see that, man. I think that's why maybe I wasn't like super attached to her. Like, whoa, she was amazing. Like I said, man, she was there to move the plot in the beginning, but yeah, she does kind of just disappear a little bit for a while until the very end on some like aha moment, like I told you so, like type shit, some cool finale thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's our thoughts with Sister Sage.
Yeah. Later on in the episode, we see Butcher arrange a meeting with Newman to make a deal about him taking out Homelander, and in like exchange that he was going to bury and delete all of the files on Newman from that foster home.
Oh yeah.
Like that, the shit that Huey digged up in season 3, but then he pulls out last second because he has an hallucination of his dead wife, Becca, basically telling him like, don't go down this road, don't do it, blah blah blah. And then we then see that after that hallucination, I believe it was this episode where we see, I want to say like a vein in his head move. And we realize that there's something inside of Butcher. You're like, what the fuck is that? And I'm gonna be honest, like just spitballing, guessing. I was like, because we knew that he was dying from what happened in season 3, so I was like, is that thing in his head like the thing that's killing him? It's gonna be like a parasite. Like, are they gonna rip it out of him and he's cured?
Yeah.
But this was just me guessing, right? That's actually how the episode ends. But before that, we see that scene where he hallucinates Becca and like the vein in his head moving. We find out that Huey's dad, who's played by Simon Pegg, we know that from the other 3 seasons, apparently had suffered a stroke and he was rushed to the hospital. And Huey goes and finds him. And the entire episode, he's been getting phone calls from his dad. He keeps ignoring them and stuff. And then, like, I think what happened was that he needed him for something. Probably had to do with the stroke, not him not feeling well. And I think Huey felt responsible for his stroke because he kept neglecting the phone calls and the texts and everything. And he goes and reaches out to him when it's already too late. And as he's there, kind of like, you know, worrying about his dad. Oh, my God, he had a stroke. The unthinkable happened. At least I wasn't expecting this. His mom walks in. And this is actually the first time we see Huey's mom into the picture because she gets briefly mentioned and we know that she like abandoned the family, but we don't really know as to why or who that person was. So she gets brought into the picture and that's how the episode actually ends. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but episodes 1, 2, and 3 dropped on the same day. And then it was weekly episodes ever since. But the first 3 episodes dropped on the same day. So I remember watching those 3 episodes. And as far as the first episode, I think I was hooked. The first episode is what hooked me. I'm like, okay, season 4, we're back. Great start. I fuck with this shit. They beat the shit out of those innocent people. They put them in the middle of the riots, the protests. They blamed the Starlighters. Homelander now got the one-up. Sage got the one-up. Holy
Yep.
shit, Huey's mom's now into the picture. What the fuck? His dad got a stroke. What the hell is that thing on Butcher's inside his head? I felt like a lot of shit in episode 1 set up for excitement for what was to come. Me personally, I think it started to dwindle starting episode 2. For me, I think I started seeing like the breadcrumbs, I guess, let's say. We started seeing like little things where I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know why they're doing that, or I don't know why they're acting this way, or why this is written this way. And then I think a few more episodes after episode 2, it started to like accumulate. And I was like, oh shit, I don't think I'm fucking with this season as much as I wanted to. But I think for me, it all started with episode 2.
Which I want to say, I don't want to jump ahead, but obviously it's spoilers, so it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. No.
Which episode was it where like we find out the whole abortion situation? Was it episode 1?
It was, I believe, episode.
Was episode 2?
I want to say it was.
Was it not 3?
I thought it was 3.
Was it? Okay, because there's something that I
Well,
want to talk about.
No, actually, I can. Let me read ahead. But go ahead. You can go and talk about it.
Well, okay. Well, before I
got the answer. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Good.
4.
Oh, wow.
Episode 4. That's when we find out.
Yes. I'm reading ahead.
So it's that deep? I could have sworn it was early on, bro. Or like, don't you remember Huey? Oh, I think you might be right. Yeah. Okay. I guess the reason why I pertain to it, man, is because I actually want to talk about this real quick. And I want to know what your guys' thoughts are. So, the elephant in the room, man. A lot of people didn't really fuck with this season of The Boys, but
I was surprised.
Not for the reason that we have, like,
Sure.
right? And that's the reason of them being too politically satire type of shit. Right? And obviously we know, right? I mean, this season paints it, crystal clear, is that they are making fun of the right wing, right? And the conservatives, the extremists, conservatives, the Republicans, the Trump supporters, whatever the fuck you want to think about.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, man. And I kind of knew that from the first, I want to say, I think second season, like very beginning of the second season. And I'm like, okay, obviously they talk about political shit. They try to make it funny, or they try to poke fun and stuff. I think that in this season they just cranked it the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
I think they cranked it the fuck up to the point where people finally realized that they were being made fun of.
Yeah.
Right? And I guess one thing that I just personally just don't like is when shows kind of go that way, like political ways and stuff.
Yeah.
Because there are many instances in this show where they like make it clear, like, if you have this view, you're a piece of shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, what the fuck are you, like, what are we on right now? And listen, man, despite of, like, obviously I know it's a show, I know, like, they're making fun of them, like, they're making fun of them and shit, like being satire and whatever the fuck. But me personally is like, I think there has to be some type of balance, because I don't know, the only bad people or whatever, the dumb people, whatever, is like they're portraying is the right wing.
Right.
But yet they don't show like the stupidness how the left people could go.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that personally bothered me, and it's because I kind of don't like when shows go super political and like try to be like shove it in your face. Like, I'm gonna just say, like, for example, because that's the reason why I was asking about the abortion thing, is because literally there's a scene where I don't know if you guys remember this. There's a scene where Huey and his mom are walking on the street with Starlight.
Yes.
Right?
That was after, yeah.
Was it after?
That was the episode after Huey's dad.
Yeah. So I just want to say this to bring up my point.
Right.
It's a scene of them just walking down the street, and some random person, like the Trump supporter or whatever, just comes out and says, "Hey, abortion is murder.
You baby killer.
You baby killer," right? And then the mom is like, "Fuck you," or something.
Yeah.
Or someone says that, and then they're like, "Yo, what the fuck is his problem?" Yo, I don't know. Like, he's a piece of shit. And then the scene ends, and it's like,
what did that scene?
Why did we? It was Mario. No joke. It was just a scene of them it cuts to them walking. That whole interaction. That scene ends, and we're back to the story, and it's like, it's like.
What was the point?
What was the point of that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some scenes that, like, I'll bring them up when we go to the episodes.
Yeah.
that do that, bro. And
Yeah.
personally, I don't like that because it's like, bro, why do we don't need that scene, bro? Like, if we're gonna be honest, man, everybody has their own types of views. Don't make it seem like this view, like, oh, if people truly do not support abortion or whatever, you're shitting on them and stuff. And truthfully, yeah, most people that think that way are mostly the right wing Republicans and stuff. They're not necessarily liberals. But I just don't like the fact that this show cranked up the politics to the point where they're only making fun of the right
side.
Yeah, exactly. You feel me? Okay, like to me, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? And that's why a lot of people were upset about it. You know, people were upset about it. Me, since even though it bothered me, I didn't really let it affect my score. It didn't really bother me to the point where I couldn't watch it.
Right.
It just was super kind of annoying because it's like we get unnecessary scenes and almost propaganda in a way, trying to fucking paint a picture that if you think this way or whatever the fuck, you are a piece of shit. Yeah. And trying to normalize it to get people to change and shit. And no, fuck that shit. What the fuck are you doing, man? It's the fucking boys. Let's not get super let's not do a fucking election Trump bullshit political party. What the fuck are we doing? That scene threw me off, bro. I was like, what the
I remember watching it. I was like, what?
I was like, okay, what was that scene? We didn't need that
At
scene.
least because the way they executed it just felt useless. I'm like, if you're gonna put that there, at least make it.
It was 100%
meaningful.
Useless.
I know
it was 100% useless. It was 100% useless. And there was like I said, there's other scenes that I'm gonna touch on once we get to them. But that's one thing that was a negative, man, for me in this show is that they cranked it up. They're trying to push the propaganda. They're pushing it a certain way. And to be honest, guys, whatever your political views are, either way, I don't think a show should just be on one-sided. In my opinion, it's what the fuck are y'all doing out here, man? Because there's for example, what if someone is religious or some shit, and then they're watching the show and it's hey, if you think abortion's okay, you're a piece of shit. They'll be of course they're gonna be upset. You know what I mean? But and here's the thing, right? And a perfect time, because I said this in the Deadpool review, that the Deadpool Wolverine review, guys, if you haven't checked it out, go listen to it. I said that I was going to make this connection in that review to this review. And that is, so many people were upset with, I'm going to say the left side, right? The people on the left who are liberals or whatever were making fun of the right, saying, yo, what the fuck, man? Don't get all sensitive. It's just a show, whoa, 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 right? But when Deadpool and Wolverine came out, and Deadpool said some crazy shit the gays or whatever, guess what? On Twitter, the people on the left were getting upset. What the fuck, Deadpool? Why are you saying, you shouldn't be saying that. Why, blah, blah, blah. Where's that energy? You see what I mean? My point is, no matter what, if you do this, it's
never good.
It's never good. You feel me? So why fucking do it? Why include it? I don't know. I just think it's unnecessary, man. It's super unnecessary. Especially a scene, bro, with fucking Newman, where she I'm gonna just say right now. I'm not gonna go super in depth. The scene where Newman explodes her own head, and it was fake, but it's because she exploded her own head because I just got mansplained by a man. You know what I mean? It's what, bitch? Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just I just hate that, man. I just did not like that with this season, but. Anyway, that's one thing. I don't know. That's how I feel about the whole political shit where they cranked it up and bullshit, unnecessary scenes, propaganda, virtue signaling. That's the word. Virtue signaling. I can't even say that, bro. I'm fucking. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think?
No, I mean, I'm pretty much the same way, dude. I think if you get political, regardless of what side you're mocking, I think it never turns out well because people's views on life are just different. Yeah. And that's just too risky to put in a show. Yeah. I think the way they had it before in the earlier seasons was a good balance of how they did it. Yeah. But it's just one thing. And it doesn't help that this year is election year in America. Bro, exactly. So it's just it's not. I mean, they just cranked it up and it ended up backfiring on them, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I just think it was just some unnecessary bullshit. I mean, it was just super, super weird. And they do the traditional shit. Okay, they have, they have Firecracker, right? This new character that we get in this season. And they make her a right... they make her a right-wing, Republican, right? And then what do? Traditional shit. Talking with a Southern accent. And talking about conspiracy theories and all this bullshit, all this stereotypes bullshit.
Wasn't her costume also American flag related, like colors.
Yeah. And like the whole. Oh, and guess what? Another thing too, where, the whole like pedo situation where she was caught like, oh yeah, she had sex with a 14-year-old, and the Republicans were like accepting. In real life, that's an actual like stereotype where with the right wing Republicans, whatever, they support pedos or whatever, and that's like that's a stereotype. I'm not saying it's real, right? But the fact that they put it in the show is kind of like virtue signaling. Is like, what the fuck are you like?
Yeah,
I don't know how to explain it, man. It's just like, what are we doing here?
I don't know.
Unnecessary scenes.
To me, it just doesn't seem like it's important. To me,
That's what
it's
I'm
like
saying.
I could understand like the whole thing where you want the story to have protesters, like have people like support Starlight for all the shit and abuse that she endured while in the 7, and then people who are like, no, Homelander's right, Starlight is a terrorist, she's a monster, we support him. I think that was cool and everything. It was to the part where it started to get too real and too satire and too mocking our real life world that it's like it kind of like dilutes the substance of the show, in my opinion. And to me, it's like, this was inevitable. Like, it was going to happen. Like, you're going to have people on social media complain about it. And it's like, well, why did you do that with your... Why couldn't you have just had, like, two opposite sides be at oppose with each other and have people make the connection of, like, oh, like, this is a metaphor to our real world. This is how the left and right are. But don't make it so obvious to where people are literally yelling baby killer, or people are being like, make soups great again, or like
exactly, bro, make soups great again. Like, come on,
like,
bro.
I feel like it didn't have to rely too much like the real world, because then that just kind of like takes you out of it. It makes you think like, okay, am I watching a fictionalized show, or am I watching
propaganda, man?
Or am I watching a documentary? Because it's feeling too much like real life, bro. Like, I don't know if I want it like that. And I know that the creator of the show, the guy who is actually the writer of the show, like the creator, his name is Eric Kripke, or Kripke. I don't know how you want to pronounce that. He actually went on Instagram, or not Instagram, social media, and he said that he's like, hey man, like, y'all don't gotta watch this show. Like, there's other shit you could watch. If you don't fuck with it, just don't watch it. He actually kind of like brushed it off, like saying like, we don't think there's an issue with the writing.
I mean, sure, that's fair, but then that same motherfucker is gonna have an issue if they were making fun of the left, the liberals, like crazy liberals with blue hair and like some crazy bullshit. You know? Like it'd be the same. My point is, it'd be the same problem,
deal, no matter
what
side.
And that's the issue. It's like, okay, if you're gonna make fun of one political party, like extremists, and do stereotypes, then you got to do some stereotypes about the fucking the other side, man. Or else it's just gonna be some propaganda bullshit, and it's like,
you're gonna market that one side is better than the other.
I'm literally watching The Boys, bro, and it's a scene of Starlight, the mom, and Huey just walking. Some dude says, baby killer. He's like, yo, what the fuck? Shut up, bitch. What's his problem? I don't know. He's a piece of shit. End scene. What? What are we doing?
Yeah, bro.
It's not necessary. And so oh man, that's super annoying. One thing I will say, I want to say the halfway point, maybe episode 5. Or something like that. It like slows down. It's not as prominent anymore. But in the very beginning it was, and it's like, oh brother.
Well, technically no, because that's the episode where they go to that farm. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, that's just my thought. I just want to get your thoughts on it, man. You know, I feel like tying back with Deadpool, people the left were upset about Deadpool saying gays and making fun of the Gen Z. Yes, I was gonna say Gen V. I'm an idiot. The Gen Z saying, oh, you know how like they always bitch and shit. Remember what Deadpool was saying? People on Twitter were upset about that, and like it just proves my point, dude. That like if you do shit like that, either way, you're always gonna get upset. And I just thought it was funny because when the right was upset with the boys, the left were like, well, stop being pussies, guys, blah blah blah. But then the same people that were saying that were upset with Deadpool's remarks. So that was a connection I wanted to make.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, they turned up the satire with political shit here. I personally just thought it was unnecessary, which is weird. I agree with Mario. I liked how they did it in the first 2 seasons and even 3. But yeah, I wasn't like those people that I wasn't aware. I was always aware that what was happening. It's just that this season they just cranked it the fuck up, bro. And like what fucking Mario said, man. It's election year, bro. It's like it seems like I'm watching some propaganda. Like, what the hell? I don't know, man. It's just super weird. Because even if we disagree with certain views, you shouldn't make people feel like shit about it. Like if someone truly doesn't support abortion, hey, that's him, bro. You don't make him feel like shit. Brody's watching the show, right? I don't believe in abortion, right? And then he gets called a piece of shit for believing that abortion's murder. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I feel like it's just, come on, man. But anyway, whatever, bro. It's fine. But actually, I want to get quick thoughts on that. Anyway, back to the show, yo.
So yeah, we're starting out at episode 2.
Yeah.
So in episode 2, it starts off with Butcher actually admitting to the boys that he's been dying as a side effect to him using the Temp V from the last season.
Mm-hmm.
And since he was keeping that a secret, everyone got pissed at him and he was kicked off the group.
Yes.
While this was going on, the boys had realized that the shit that happened with the protest riots, with the dead bodies, had something to do with Homelander and someone that he was palling around with, who we found out was Sage. And he's like, oh, we know that this person is going to be at a local convention that's happening nearby. And so as they all go, I think it's Frenchie and Kimiko go out to investigate, and sure enough, who's there but Butcher? He beats them to it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, what the fuck, you're not supposed to be here. He's like, hey, you kicked me off the team, but I'm technically working on my own.
When I'm out, I'm in.
Yeah, type shit. He just and so we realize, and then they find out as they were spying on Sage that she's actually there to recruit another soup that's at this convention, who we find out is Firecracker. Mm-hmm. And Firecracker literally is, in the name implies, like her superpower is that she shoots firecrackers out of her hands on some Jubilee shit from X-Men.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And we all knew, like, that's a very nerfed pussy ass power. Mm-hmm. The real reason why she was here, back to your point, is trying to have a right winged, satire version of like a person in that position or whatever the fuck. Yeah. And also, I know it's not in this episode. It happens later on, but I just want to get it out the way. I know it's spoilers, so we're kind of jumping around.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I also wasn't a huge fan of her addition to the show. Mm-hmm. Not per anything that you mentioned, the satire and the propaganda, like your piece. I just was like hoping that this character would play a bigger role into the show. Mm-hmm. Because you find out, like, this bitch hates Starlight, hates her fucking guts. And so she's all for Homelander's mission of, like, fuck the Starlighters, and we want to win, and, like, we want to annihilate them, and blah, blah, blah. She's all for it. And then later on, there's a scene later in the show where Starlight is actually face-to-face with Firecracker. Mm-hmm. And she's like, who the fuck are you? Like, I don't know you. Like, why do you have such hatred toward me? I don't even know who you are. And she's like, you don't remember me? And she admits that years ago, prior, when Starlight was still on her like beauty pageant shit with her mom and like winning all those beauty pageants contests and stuff, that Firecracker was one of the contestants in one of those years, and she had like gone up against Annie in the contest and all that stuff for many years, and she would always lose. And then one particular year, Annie apparently spread a really bad rumor about her that tarnished her image and got her disqualified from the beauty competitions, right? And that she's like, I always held a grudge at you ever since, blah, blah, blah. And Annie admits it. She's like, I do remember that. He's like, I'm sorry, that wasn't me. My mom told me, that, and that's like, that's part of the game, That's part of the game. It's just like doing that. You got to be nasty in order for other girls not to like you, and you just got to win. The reason why this bothered me is because it's kind of like a dumb reason to introduce Firecracker. Like, you find out her backstory is just that, like, she used to be in these beauty pageants with Annie when they were younger, when they were preteens. And that she holds a grudge against her because she spread a rumor about her that was so nasty that the judges caught whiff of it, thought it was true, and disqualified her. I'm like, that's kind of a trash backstory to a superhero.
No, yeah, and like there's no real reason to bring her in other than the whole propaganda bullshit. Have that character as a puppet. Like, it's just,
and to me, I'm just like, okay. But another problem that I have is that I find it a little hard to believe. This is where I started to say, like, oh, the writing kind of goes in a weird direction where I don't know if I fuck with it. Like I said, it all started here. One of the things that I didn't like about the writing is that they were starting to paint Starlight as like kind of a villain. And I'll explain what I mean. Like, when she says, oh, you spread those rumors about me at the beauty pageants. And like, well, I'm sorry, it's because that wasn't me. Like, my mom told me that that's how I had to be, that was like, that's just how beauty competitions are, and that you have to say these things, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm sorry. I look back and I regret doing those things. I regret those decisions. I regret that I've ever hurt you. And obviously Firecracker doesn't forgive her. My issue is, I'm like, there's some inconsistencies with the writing. Because you mean to tell me that Starlight was spreading rumors, nasty rumors about another girl in beauty competitions, like out of malicious intent to win. And I'm like,
when she didn't really want to do it in the first place.
It's that too. Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned that. I forget what season of The Boys it was. We get that flashback where she's like, "Oh,
she was doing it because of her mom."
Exactly. And on top of that, like if you remember back in season 1 when they were looking for a new soup to take over Translucent's spot. Oh no, Lamplighter.
Yeah.
His spot in the 7. She obviously gets it right. But when she was like in the audition, she's like, you know, she's acting very nice. She's acting very proper. In fact, in her mind, she actually thought the 7 would save people, and they were actual heroes. Little did they know they were all pieces of shit and corrupted, and it was all just a facade behind the curtains.
Yep.
But that same Starlight, who we believed to be the good guy, the person that like was always optimistic, always believed in good, never did anything bad. You mean to tell me that now she has this like evil past, that she was spreading false... I'm not saying she committed murder or nothing. I know I said evil.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, you mean to tell me that this same character, who I've seen for 3 seasons be the optimistic, always do good, never's done bad, like, person, used to spread rumors about other girls in beauty competitions? I'm like, that's not consistent, especially with what we've heard about
And in
her.
beauty competitions that she didn't even really care for.
Exactly.
Like...
So part of me was like, if I would have found out that it was actually her mom who spread those rumors, it would be more consistent with the writing.
Yeah, it would have made more sense.
But it was like, she even admits
her.
it, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But and I'm like, wait. Starlight, this doesn't sound like you, bro. This doesn't sound like the same character that I've invested in the last 3 seasons. Like, now all of a sudden, they're kind of criminalizing her with this writing. And I'm just like, what the fuck? So... those were my biggest issues with Firecracker, was that her reason for hating Starlight is inconsistent with the writing of Starlight's character, but also her having a shitty-ass power. She served no purpose but to fill in the gap of taking over Queen Maeve's position in the 7, and to be like the propaganda puppet that you mentioned before. So that's the character that we meet at this convention, the ones that the boys go and encounter. And there... Frenchie and Kimiko kind of break off, and they go and follow one of the people that's working with Firecracker, who we know is Splinter, which is the guy that multiplies himself. And this is, again, another thing that bothered me, and this is like, this is where like it first started. Like when I said like my issues with season 4 came like in episode 2, and it's the scene where he walks into the sauna, and this dude has multiplied himself like 4 other clones of himself, and he's making each of the clones eat the other one's ass, human centipede style.
Oh man!
And it's one of those things where it's like, what the fuck? And like Kimiko and French are like, what the hell? And like the dude is all there with his mouth all
dude, that
slobbered up and shit. Yeah. And I remember being like, ugh, and I'm like, well, okay.
I remember being like, why can't I join?
Dumbass, Mario.
Is there room for one more?
Dumbass, Mario.
Is there room for one?
You're dumb as hell.
Javi's just looking at a picture
You're
of
dumb as hell.
Hector, Javi's just looking at a picture of Tommy Maguire while doing that shit.
You're stupid as fuck, bro. Y'all dumb as hell. Gross. Also, I was just like, really, like, we're just gonna, and then there's like a fight that breaks out later in the episode with the same dude. He keeps multiplying himself, and I get it. Realistically, he's multiplying himself, not the clothes he's wearing. So he's fighting naked and shit.
Yeah, he's butt naked, dicks are out.
And I'm just like, bro, what the fuck is going on, bro? I'm not gonna lie, the fights were funny because like they keep killing him, but he keeps multiplying, and it's like there's no ending, and then eventually they eventually do kill him. And I was like, okay, and I'm gonna touch on a little later why this scene bothered me, the whole sauna scene, right? Because it ties into other things that happen later on in the show, but I'll get to that later. Then after that whole like thing going down in the convention, let me see. Let me pick off where I left off. Guilty over his actions, A-Train gives Huey and Annie files exonerating the Starlighters accused of murder.
Oh yes.
So he basically proves to them that like, hey, the Starlighters didn't actually kill those people. Here's videotape footage of Homelander demanding us to murder these people.
And this is like one of the first moments where we see A-Train, the redemption arc of A-Train.
Yes.
Which I do like.
You do like that? Okay, I was gonna ask, like, what did you guys think of A-Train's character? Because I know they're kind of like putting him on this redemption arc in this season. What did you guys think of that?
I mean, I didn't like it at first, bro. Just because it was hinted in season 3, his arc. And the reason why I guess I didn't like it was like, no, it's because you killed fucking you killed Huey's girl, bro, and you're a piece of shit. You didn't give a fuck. And I guess the more and more I just like, I guess, let go of that grudge, and I understood, well, he eventually went through that as well with his brother. Remember that?
Yeah, with
And
I forgot that dude's name, but
and then because of that, he now understands how Huey actually feels, and now he is more like self-aware of other people's like feelings and stuff. Including that, and then how everything plays out. I don't know if we want to get into it just yet, but I do like it. I think I do like it.
What about you, Mario?
Because it shows a glimpse of like of a real hero now.
True.
Especially like when we get to that part.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Mario? What did you think?
I personally liked it. I thought, because I felt like out of everybody in the 7, he felt like the most like
Genuine.
could be genuinely redeemed. Like for the Aquaman motherfucker, now he's gone. Like there's no redemption for his ass.
I don't know if it's just me, bro, but I feel like I don't really give a
Deep?
fuck about the Deep's little side plot going on with his fucking octopus.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like those scenes, like remember that he has with his fucking octopus.
Yeah, I
and shit?
mean, he has
Like,
a
I don't really-
relationship with it.
Like we don't need scenes like that.
That's
Personally,
yeah, I can agree.
it's like why?
I feel like
we
it's
here?
just there to show like how fucked up he is, but it's like, bro, we
Yeah,
already
but it's
know
like we already know
fucked.
he's a weirdo. Like,
Yeah.
there's no development happening with Deep, so
Yeah.
why are we keep getting these like scenes, bro?
Yeah, I feel like it's just there for shock value again.
yeah.
And that's my problem is with this season, man. Is like, sure, there was shock value in the other seasons of The Boys, but the story and the development was more, I guess, more prominent. It didn't. The shock value didn't overshadow the actual story itself.
Yeah.
Whether here in the beginning, I would say, of the show, the shock value is overshadowing the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But anyway, yeah. That's what I think. What about you, How? What do you think about?
No, I thought his
Returns?
redemption arc was like on a good start, though I did feel like it kind of goes to a pause. I didn't really see him really redeem himself anymore than in, like later on when we get to the Tech Night episode. I feel like, I mean, I know that he's kind of like on the low, like kind of meeting up with Huey and meeting up with MM and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like other than those like little few scenes, I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more. Maybe that's where season 5 will come in. But I liked it. I liked like how they were going with it. I just wish that there would have been a bigger role for him towards the end of the season. He just kind of goes away.
That's true.
Don't you think?
That's true. Yeah.
And then basically episode 2 very quickly ends with Butcher gets kicked out of The Boys in the beginning of the beginning of the episode. Then at the end of the episode talks to MM and basically like has like a heart to heart with him and basically says if he can join back in, and MM's like fuck no, like you're done for good. So
Oh, and another thing I guess we should mention too. This part's some development for Ryan's story. Do you remember the whole thing where they wanted to do like a save? Because I guess all the saves that these superheroes do are like fake. They're scripted.
they're scripted.
And we have one where Ryan is gonna do his first save, and he like practices with the stuntman and shit, and then he actually ends up killing him, bro. And this is the first time Ryan has killed someone other than his mom, and it's like, whoa. What y'all think about that? When he like just pushed him, and he pushed him, and he splat on the fucking wall. Remember that, dude?
I remember
That was crazy.
And I'm like, and dude, and like this is kind of like foreshadowing of Ryan, because we see Ryan throughout the season kind of spiraling down a bit into the evil side, and it's like, oh fuck, that sucks, bro. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up.
I
'cause
also
thought
have
that
a
was
problem
crazy.
with Ryan's development in this show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into
Okay.
it later on, but
Okay.
like this does play a part in that, so we'll keep
Okay.
that in mind. The whole him killing the stuntman.
Stuntman. Okay.
So episode 3 opens up with Homelander publicly introducing Sage and Firecracker, the characters that we already met. They become members of the 7, and he even appoints Sage as the new CEO.
Oh yeah, replacing
Therefore,
Ashley.
therefore downgrading her, and now she's just kind of there, right? Like they just kind of have her palling around, but now Sage is the one calling the CEO shots. Then later in the show, we see Butcher meet up with Joe Kessler. We meet up with Joe, and he's basically developing a plan on how to kidnap Ryan. Like they're talking about, like we're gonna try to get him here, we're gonna drug him, and then we're gonna get him away from Homelander, because that's his whole thing. Is that yes, Butcher does want to kill Homelander most of all and take down Vought, but he knows that Ryan has nothing to do with that, despite him siding with Homelander because of situations that happened in the previous season. So he's like, I want to try to just get him away from him, and I want to get away from him before we go on and do our thing, right? So that's when we get that scene where the Butcher reaches out to Ryan via that VOT Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah.
And they're playing his shit, and I thought that was funny because like the game
why I
is
thought
very
of you,
much
Hav,
Mortal
when I
Kombat
saw
because
that.
I thought I have too.
Yeah.
well, yeah, because it's very like even the character select screen, everything was Mortal Kombat, bro. It was very reminiscent to Mortal Kombat 11. So he reaches out to him and he's like Ryan, like listen, I just want to talk, right? He basically just says he wants to meet up, and then eventually he does. He goes over to Butcher's apartment and they have this scene where they're bonding and they're talking and stuff like that. And originally Butcher was supposed to give Ryan some cookies, which was laced with that sedative that's supposed to put him to sleep.
Put him to sleep, yep.
But he then eventually packs out and dumps the cookies, and he's like, oh, I fucked up the recipe. Don't even worry about it. Let's just keep playing foosball. And then they do. And then if I'm skipping a little bit ahead of the show, Ryan then just kind of leaves and goes back to Vought Tower where Homelander was like, you were with Butcher. I smell him all over you. And then he just yells at him and berates him and all this shit, right? And this also, like, again, this very scene, this very situation where he goes and meets up with Butcher, but he comes back to Vought Tower, plays a part in my issue with his writing as well. So I want to just put a pin on that too.
Okay.
But earlier in the episode, we actually see Frenchie and Kimiko go on a mission to destroy the Liberation Army cell, the one that like that terrorist group that Kimiko was originally part of with her brother and shit. So when they go there, Frenchie gets drugged and he starts hallucinating about his past because I forgot to mention this actually. In the last episode, he meets up with this dude named Colin, who works with like the Starlight Company, like the group and everything, and you find out that they actually end up having a relationship together.
And then we find out confirmed that either Frenchie's full gay or bi. I think he's bi. Yeah, he's bi.
He's bi.
And this is another thing two people were upset about with Frenchie. And me, I kind of suspected it.
What? That he was
kind of fruity? Like he was bi?
Yeah.
Because, I don't know if you remember, don't you remember when, I think it was season 3, where he was talking to that Russian chick.
Uh-huh.
And how she mentioned how, like, he liked it. Or, like, hey, you were complaining, blah, 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 when I was pegging you or some shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, Frenchie, you crazy, boy.
Yeah.
Feel me? So I was kind of suspecting this. I wasn't really upset about it.
I wasn't upset.
But I will be honest with you, this... Oh, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I wasn't upset that he was confirmed to be bi or nothing like that. I think what
people were
bothered me more was that the show was trying to develop a relationship between him and this Colin
That's what I was gonna
guy.
say, and I don't care.
Yep.
I really don't care.
It's not saying like, well, okay, but here's my. Maybe your reason might be different than mine.
Okay.
The reason why I don't care is because I thought the last 3 seasons were served to the purpose was to serve that. If there's going to be a relationship, it'd have been him and Kimiko.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why.
So we're on the same page.
That's why. It's like, what the... Okay, the first 3 seasons... Oh, mon coeur. Like, mon coeur.
Yeah.
Like, I feel you. Like, I understand
They
you.
have this connection.
To the point where it's like, oh, yeah, no, you know what? I want this guy. And it's like, who the fuck is this guy?
No, it's not so much that he wanted him. Like, he was interested, but then Kimiko was the one that was like, hey, in sign language, she's like, hey, just so you know,
there's nothing.
This is never going to happen. So if you want to go and pursue him, go ahead. And I'm like, what is Kimiko?
Which is weird, because Kimiko, like, kissed him in season 3.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm like, wait a minute. And this is, again, where, like, the writing starts to become inconsistent with the show. I picked it up, like... around here, bro. It was like episode 1 and 2 is where I started picking up the breadcrumbs. But then later on, as the show progressed, more and more shit get revealed and more character development happens. And I'm like, this writing is like off, bro. I don't know what the fuck we're doing. And eventually, I mean, spoiler alert, like I do feel like the last few episodes of the show corrects and fixes themselves, but it doesn't undo what I saw in everything in the past.
I think the last episode, or episode 9, I think they explained the whole Kimiko situation. Why Kimiko
never wanted to pursue anything. And I understood, but I was like, we'll get to it. I have issues with it.
But we called it. Didn't we call it, though? Remember we called it. We're like, oh, like, what should this be like a little... Because in episode 3 or 4, I think you could see Kimiko getting kind of jealous and stuff.
Yes, she did.
And we said in the chat, we never said it on tape or Twitter or whatever the fuck, but we said, like, oh, yeah, watch this be like a situation where she gets jealous and stuff, and by the end of the season, they get together. Don't you remember that, Mark? That we said that? But yeah, with that whole situation with Frenchie, man, I just thought, like for what? Or like, okay... we meet this guy that we don't really, the audience, we don't really know or care about.
This is the first time we meet him.
Yeah, we don't really give a fuck, and Frenchie, we find out that he murdered his family, and shit, which is deep, right? It's holy fuck. But this,
I did actually like that.
yeah. But this is what drives him to the point where I just can't do this no more. Like, I got to turn myself in.
That's what bothered me.
That's what I'm saying. That bothered me too, because like, wait, hold on. You were able to kill so many people, but this is what like this is the part where you're like, I can't do it no more.
I'm telling you,
just
bro.
because the guy that you like and the thing is, but he likes him. Yeah, but we don't know this guy, so we don't care.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
If we got more, if he was in the story, like for, I don't know, for a season or something, and we saw like a development with him, and then we find out he did that, then it would have been like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, it'd have been there. But since we don't know this fucking guy, we can't necessarily feel for Frenchie.
Right.
We just like, oh, well, like.
Yeah, that just, again, man, look, I know
know?
I'm a broken record, but it's just like, dude, the writing in this season was so inconsistent. It's like, why is it that only after you've hooked up with this dude and
Yeah.
that like you feel this connection with him, that all of a sudden you start to feel guilty for what you did?
Yeah.
When it's like, bro, it's not the first time you've killed people, though.
No, bro, you killed so many people.
As a job, for
Yeah.
Mallory, for
Yeah.
you know, in The Boys, like, you literally played a hand in killing Translucent. Like, yeah, Huey didn't blow him up. Huey did, but you were the one that had the idea of putting the bomb up his ass. Like, dude, it's like you've this is not the first thing you've done, but like, oh, it's only after you've slept with this dude and like you start to get feelings for him.
That
and
you feel bad.
that all of a sudden you start to feel bad, and to the point where you mentioned like a few episodes in, he then goes and turns himself into the police. I'm like,
And that's it.
And
we
my-
don't hear
and my-
from him for a bit.
and I'm like, dude, this writing is weird. Like, how do you mean to tell me that he turns himself in for all this shit? You mean to tell me that the last 3 seasons, this was not a bother to him at all, only up until now? I think it would have been more consistent if we saw that in season 1, he was like traumatized about his past and what he did. And maybe he was reluctant to join the boys because he's like, nah, Butcher, you got me fucked up. You're showing up at my building with Translucent. Like, I don't want to get back in this life. But then he eventually does get dragged back into the life or whatever. Like, he was just kind of like, oh, okay, fuck it, right? And then, you know, he's there and he just starts doing a bunch of schemes,
Yeah.
you know, with the boys and shit. And only now, 4 seasons in,
Yeah.
he's now starting to feel
And-
guilty
And we don't feel that guilt with him because, like I said, there was no development with that.
with that
person.
other Colin character.
And like, and look, I guess we'll just jump in. Once he figures out, right, that Colin guy or whatever figures out what Frenchie did, he just fuck you, whatever, and like we never see him again.
Nope.
And like that plot was just there to get rid of Frenchie for some reason, because like after that, Frenchie turned himself in, and like didn't hear from him again for a while.
Yeah, dude.
And it's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? And not only that, right? Him when he does come out, he's a fucking mess. He's on drugs again and like acting all weird. And now it's like reverse, where Kamiko is the one like trying to comfort him and saying, "Hey, like, blah blah blah." And this is the part where it doesn't make sense too. It's because Kamiko's like, "Just tell me," and then he's like, "You wouldn't understand," right? But it's like, what?
I don't-
The first couple of seasons, though, you were on her saying, "Hey, I understand. Trust me, I had this, blah blah blah."
Mm-hmm.
Now you're saying that she can't understand you.
Dude, the writing.
Does that make sense, Hoff?
No,
that bothered me. I'm like, what?
Well,
That
yeah,
doesn't make sense.
it's not consistent.
No,
bro.
it's not. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
It
with his
doesn't.
character.
It doesn't. No, that's what I'm saying. And dude, it's not even just Kamiko and Frenchie and like apparently.
Oh no,
they're-
no, we'll get to that. Yeah,
You know
We'll
what I
get to
mean?
the other
It's,
characters.
you know what I mean? Everyone else had inconsistent character. I mean, we already mentioned Starlight. We mentioned
Yeah.
how like her spreading rumors about the girl in the pageants don't really sound like her. French and Kamiko not having a relationship, despite the first 3 seasons setting something.
Was a build-up,
setting
exactly.
a connection between them was the whole purpose, and like that never like happened. The whole thing with Ryan, which I didn't get into, but we will later because I didn't like what they did with the writing on Ryan's character. It was just a bunch of stuff, bro. And I think the one thing that kind of like here was like, okay, like I said, the first 3 episodes of The Boys dropped on like the same day,
Okay,
and then episode 4 is when it started, like weekly episodes, right? Dude, this is when I started to see the red flag. This right here is when I was like, uh-oh, this season's not gonna go well. And it was how this episode, towards the very end of the episode, where Huey is having a conversation with his mom, Daphne, and the whole episode they're trying to talk, but like Huey's very like on his feet. He's very defensive, and he's very like on the fence of trying to like even have a connection with his mom because she abandoned them. And then finally they have a moment where they kind of settle down and they talk, and you find out that she ended up leaving the family because she fell into a depression, and she even attempted suicide.
Yeah.
A failed one, but she attempted, and that was what caused her to leave. Now, for me, I was like, I don't know about you guys, but me, when I remember hearing about her reasons for leaving, I could just be an asshole. But I didn't really buy it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry that you fell into a depression and that you even committed suicide. Like, suicide's not a joke. It's a real thing. And, like, if you're experiencing stuff like that, you should go and seek help, professional help, because you matter in this world. But in a fictionalized story like this, I don't think this justifies... Because I feel like it's too safe. And I'm sorry if that makes me sound like an asshole, but if it's like, dude, like, you're my mom and you abandoned me when I was a kid. It's like, oh, my bad, G. I had depression. Oh, it's all good then. And it's like... No, like,
and like it like really fucked up Huey. Like we in the first couple of seasons, we know that messed him up so bad. He had, like, there would be moments where he would talk about it and it would hurt him, and then he kind of just moves on from it. You know, once his mom says, "Oh, I was depressed," and she's like, "Oh, okay, no problem." You know, it just doesn't make. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense, man.
I didn't like that. This is
Huey.
when I realized how quick Huey was to forgive his mom after that half-assed explanation.
That's what I'm
before she
saying.
left.
Like,
That's when I was like,
like,
oh no, like,
especially because, like, okay, you were depressed, right? But you didn't think about how I would feel after all these fucking years of my mom abandoning me, and me thinking that you don't love me. So, like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. How
Yeah,
you
it
feel?
makes-
You didn't care how I felt. So why should I care about how you feel?
mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. He was just so quick. Like, oh, wow.
Like, I understand.
Yeah, like,
And it's like, what the fuck are you talking
I
about?
forgive you for not being part of my life for
10 plus
10
years.
plus years. Yeah, like,
And it's
that
like, what
quick.
the fuck are you on about?
Fuck that.
man.
And then real quick before we end the episode, a little earlier in the episode before that hospital scene, we see that Huey and MM are in this like ice skate
Oh, yes,
arena,
yes.
and that they are eavesdropping on a meeting that Newman and Homelander and Sage have,
Sage.
where they are planning to assassinate President Robert Singer.
Mm-hmm.
And Robert Singer is the one that's been working with Mallory and the CIA and with the boys to try to eliminate Newman.
Yes.
But their whole thing is that they want to assassinate him so that Newman can take over as president, and having a soup in the office can like help them like cause like a resurgence, I guess you could say. And Soups, like trying to have Soups take over the country and take over the world or whatever the fuck. And which breaks out into a cool fight scene where like Homelander like accidentally lasers the ice skaters and they like
Dude,
cut
that
in
shit was
half and
crazy.
shit.
Yeah.
But basically the whole purpose of that scene was them finding out their plan, because Sage is the one that's like
Yes.
orchestrating everything from the start. And so that's how the episode pretty much ends.
And A-Train saves Huey.
He does.
Yeah, A-Train
He
ends
does.
up
I
saving
forgot
Huey.
about that. But yeah, you're right. He does save him. And then, like I said, the episode, I already mentioned it, but the episode ends with Homelander knowing that Ryan went to go see Butcher. Then he starts having that, like, that breakdown shit where, like, he keeps seeing him, reflections of himself talk to him, and he's, like, in his head and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And basically they tell him, like, you still have that thing of, like, that feeling inside you of love. Like, you still want to be loved and you still feel the need to love. You need to eliminate that. And the only way to do that is you need to go back home. And that's where we have that's where we get the next episode where we see Homelander visit the lab that he was raised in, where he was experimented on and all that shit, right? And so we see Homelander. He returns to the Vought lab, where he was experimented on. He was being tormented by the employees there and everything. And he's there, and he's basically just like fucking with all the lab scientists. There. He's just there, like trying to like be nice and everything, but it's all a facade. And he eventually just torments and ends up executing most of them, bro.
All of them, I think.
All of them except for the one main chick, the one that's like the director of this facility. It's a girl named Barbara. But what did you guys think of Homelander tormenting those scientists, guys? I know one, he was like, you know why'd you call me Squirt? Because you caught me masturbating. Oh my God. And so he's like, pull down your pants and masturbate. And he's trying, but he's like not in it. And he's like, if you don't get hard, I will lace your fucking dick off. Blah blah blah. Like in front of everybody there. Like, what did you guys think of like that scene where Homelander?
My thing is like, how the fuck am I supposed to get hard?
I like how that's what he's thinking of. That's funny.
No, but okay, that entire episode I did like.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of like, okay, despite Homelander being like a piece of shit and stuff, I want to say he's always been a standout, and with his character and like even the development that we're seeing with him, even if it's for better or for worse, right? Like for this one, this is kind of like some reconciliation, some closure, where he's like, you know what, man, like I don't need love, I got myself, because he's always been the type of character where he needs validation. And this was like closing that chapter, like, fuck y'all. I'm me. I don't need y'all. I don't need love. You know what I mean? So I definitely did like this episode with Homelander.
I like that scene. I like that part of the movie. Or sorry, of the episode.
Yeah.
What about you, Mario?
No, I love this part. anything this episode specifically with Homelander. Holy shit!
Yeah, I can't even speak either today.
Fuck. I absolutely enjoyed it. Him getting his like revenge on the people who technically made him the way who he is today. I thought it was like, you know what, Homelander's a piece of shit, but you guys were pieces of shit too for doing this for him. So like,
Yeah.
like sorry, not sorry. Like
It's kind of like you expect.
like you made him this way. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Like, this is all your
I
fault.
agree.
But no, this part this was just amazing. I very much enjoyed this episode.
Yeah.
What about you, Hal?
No, I liked it too. I like that Homelander gets a little bit more shine because I mean he was kind of like just in the sidelines for most of the season up until now. So like this whole thing where like we delve more into his past and learning more about him and all of that. I like that he got the spotlight. So I was a fan of this, and also just if there's one consistent bro in every season, it's just that Anthony Starr's still a standout. I mean him
Absolutely.
as Homelander, he's so good at it, and like. It's just he became one of my favorite characters of the show.
Yeah, him and Butcher, man.
Yeah, those two are the standouts in my opinion, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, then after that we have this other subplot going on where the doctors are basically saying that the condition in which Huey's dad is not looking too great. So Daphne, which is Huey's mom, claims that his wish, if things were not to go well, is to take him off life support, which Huey does not agree with. And he's like, no, fuck that. That's bullshit because he would die. And he's like, I'm telling you, that's what he said. Like, he would want this. He said it in his will or whatever the fuck. I forgot how she knows. So in an attempt to save his dad, Huey makes a deal with A-Train and have him deliver him some Compound V because he was going to inject it into his dad in hopes of saving his life. During this encounter, A-Train runs off, and then Huey has the Compound V, and we saw the whole time in the shadows, Butcher was listening and watching everything go down.
Yes.
And he comes out and he's like, listen, I'm telling you, lad, don't go through with this. You're not gonna like how it goes. And he's like, you don't understand, Butcher. Like, it's my dad. Like, this could save him. Like, maybe we can give you some Compound V. It could save you in your condition.
Yeah.
That's when we get the bombshell where it's like, actually, I already tried that. And we got a flashback scene of like Frenchie, I guess, having some Compound V stash that he never used, and he uses it on himself. And despite that, the tumor in his brain is still killing him slowly.
Yep.
And it's like, oh shit, what the fuck? So Butcher has Compound V in him, which means he has powers.
Yeah.
But up until now, we have not seen what those powers are. So it's like, oh shit, we're gonna see that soon, right? But he's like, I'm telling you, just don't do it. And he's like, I'm sorry, he's my dad. I have to. So eventually he goes through with it. He goes and goes to the hospital, and he like hesitates.
Isn't that
he?
how like the episode ends? Or isn't it episode 5 where like we get the whole hospital shit with his dad?
Well, yeah, because in this episode, before it ends, we see
oh.
that Huey has the Compound V and he decides not to go through with it.
yes.
So then he kind of leaves the Compound V in his jacket, leaves it in the hospital room. Then he goes and gets a soda from the vending machine, and then he comes back and he realized that his mom inserted the Compound V in his blood system. He was like, why did you do that? And he's like, well, I saw it in your pocket. I thought that's what you wanted to do. And yes, he did, but he backed out last minute. And then that's when we see like the heart rate monitor start beeping, and we see Huey's dad's eyes open, and that's when it cuts to credits. So it brings him back to life, and so mission success.
I want to get your thoughts on this, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I might sound like fucked up right now, but the whole situation with Huey's dad, I mean, it is like sad, but I'm gonna be real. I just didn't really feel that emotional connection with him because he wasn't really part of the fucking story like that. Like, we only see him a couple times in season 1, and then at the end, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, bro? So, like, here in this situation, I feel mostly bad for Huey, but I don't really feel bad for, like, it's like, oh, like, I don't really have a connection with him. And, like, same thing with the mom. I just feel like the mom is just...
kind of there.
Is not necessary at all, and it's just there to drive, like, to add some, like, elements to Huey's life once his dad is like gone. It's like a replacement of his dad.
Yeah, that's what
and it's like, what's the point there?
I don't know, bro.
And like another thing too is I didn't really buy the fact that Huey, because Huey's morals with the whole Compound V, and like he's even said that he hated it or whatever. He says that he told Starlight, I think I forgot what season it was, that it was a like worst mistake I've ever done or some shit. And yet his first resort is to inject it to his dad. And I get he didn't do it last minute, but like just having the thought of that is kind of like kind of goes against what he stands on and what the point of this entire show was. I don't know. That's just me. But yeah, the mom is just there, bro. She's just unnecessary replacing the dad. It's like,
I'm telling you,
for
bro.
what?
I could not, and dude, I tried, and I just could not find like a reason why, like the purpose that she served in this season, dude.
There's none.
I think like the most irrelevant character of this entire season is probably Huey's mom, bro.
Yep.
I don't know. Do you guys agree with that?
I agree. She's like unnecessary. There's no reason for her to be.
Or is there another character that like you think is worse?
No.
I don't want you to guys say Ashley too, right? The Ashley's assistant, also named Ashley. Like she's not really even a character.
Nah, she don't count.
Like you know what I mean? I'm saying like the ones that actually like are trying to become main characters in the show. Like the writers are trying to make them mains. I feel like Huey's mom was like the least interesting, the most irrelevant one.
I don't know. It's just they were just. I guess they wanted to do something with Huey and like some character development of him trying to like kill his dad. Like because okay, I guess let's dive into episode 5, right? Because let's do that, then we could talk about it. Because this is where we find out with what happens with Huey's dad. So, so where we at?
Well, in episode 5, we find out that Huey's dad wakes up from his coma, and he's like, hey, everything's fine. Like, I feel so good. Like, I feel better than ever, blah, 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 right? But then later we start to see that he kind of gets, like, dementia because he keeps, like, forgetting details of his life. He thinks Huey's, like, 11 or whatever the fuck. And then we see that he kind of, like, goes out on this, like, murder spree that he's very accidental. He doesn't try to, but he has compound V in him, so he has a power where he like walks through walls.
Like he phases
through the walls and shit like that. And so like eventually he's like running, and like I think there was one where like he runs through the wall and he phases through a patient that's on the bed, and he stops in the middle, and he just completely like just kills them like in the middle of their body and shit like that. And he's just like, oh shit, and he's running around and he's accidentally like killing everything he sees, and like Huey and his mom are like running around trying to find him. But then also like because he has like some dementia shit going on, he's also going on a murder spree. Like he's then going out of his way and actually like pulling people's heart outs and shit with the phasing shit. And so they try to stop him, which I mean eventually, if we skip to the end of the episode, we see that it ends with eventually they get through to him. They try to get him to calm down, and then Huey realizes that the effects of compound V affected his mind to where like he could just kind of like go out there, like it's like Alzheimer's or something, where it's like he just forgets details about his life and he just goes off and wanders and kills anything in his path without wanting to. So he realizes that the only way to really like put an end to this is by putting down his dad.
Putting him down. And
so like there's a final scene where Huey shares with his dad and Daphne, and they're talking in his last words.
But wait, before that, we even get the scene where like he's trying to kill fucking Daphne for leaving.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, why the fuck you leave? Blah blah blah. Like, dude, that shit was crazy.
No, yeah, all of that, bro. I mean, like, and I was kind of like on his side. I was like, yeah, man, fuck this mom, bro. I don't even fuck with her. I don't know why she's in the show. And then eventually they get to the part where like they give him that like, I forget what they put in his system. Like it's something that they put in him that killed him slowly.
Yeah, I forgot what it was too.
I will say I did feel like touched by that moment, like how he was like talking about his favorite movie, and like that was the last thing he talked about, and his eyes kind of like fade out, and he dies and shit. I did like that scene, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Because more so because like it's kind of like with Huey, man. It's just Huey just be going through it, man.
I know, dude. I know.
They be putting him through the ringer,
oh,
bro.
definitely.
The way I see it is that this motherfucker went through a lot, but I feel like he made like the least character development in this season.
Huey?
Yeah, that's just me though. Like he went through a lot, but I'm just like, bro, I feel like you didn't really do shit. I feel like he was very complacent compared to the last season.
Yeah, I think he's right, bro.
I don't know. It just felt like he was just a random sidekick, even though he's not.
Like he was like the punching bag.
Yeah, bro. And I was like, bro, like I didn't like. I know. I get. Like I know Huey.
No, if anything, he kind of regressed.
That's what I'm.
No, because hear me out, Hav. Hear me out. Because in the past seasons, he's like, I want to save you, Starlight, blah, blah, blah. I'm tired of feeling the butt of the joke. I want to feel confident. I want to do this. That's why he took Compound V, and he felt powerful because he was actually helping and stuff. And now he's here. Like, he kind of regressed in a sense where he's still the punching bag, and he's still unsure of himself. You know what I mean? So, interesting. Yeah, Mario, good catch.
I don't know. Yeah, that's true.
Because don't you remember he was like, oh, I want to be this. I want to save you. I want to be more sure of myself. I want to be independent. That's why he breaks off from the group and works for Newman, remember? Mm-hmm. And now he's back here, same old Huey from like the past season before that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Damn. That's crazy, bro.
That was one of my issues this season. I was like, bruh.
Yeah, dude.
I feel like Huey
he just went back to his old ways.
I feel like Huey was going somewhere, and I was like, I feel like he just reverted back to his own self this season.
Mm-hmm.
And
Damn.
I have a lot of issues with a lot of these characters, like progression.
Yeah, man. Like even with Frenchie, like the whole going back to drugs and like ignoring Kamiko and being like, you wouldn't understand, even though he was like, Mon coeur, I understand.
Oui.
I'm telling you, bro. The writing here is
Parlez-vous
inconsistent,
français?
bro. Like I don't get what the fuck they're doing with the
Wait,
characters, dog.
I said parlez-vous français. I don't know what that means.
Parlez-vous français.
Did you just say parlay? He's
No,
better than that,
parlez.
bro.
Parlay.
Hell
The
no.
chick this parlay though. That man. No, yeah, man. And then same thing with Butcher too, man. I mean, I don't know if we could get into it now, but like,
If you want, yeah. What? What specifically?
I just think with Butcher, he's not learning. Like he's also like everyone else, he's kind of regressing a little bit, because in the past couple of seasons, he's fucking stabbed his boys in the back and like did all this crazy shit. And then he realized, I can't do that to the boys, or like, oh, I can't,
You know what, bro?
I can't do that and stuff. And
That
yet
was-
he's still doing the same.
That
thing.
was another issue that I had is that Butcher's essentially his character development is just him fucking over the boys,
and he's
paying
never
the,
changing.
paying the price, learning from his mistakes, and then by the next season
He's doing it all over.
he does
again.
it all over again.
And it's like,
And it's not the first time that he does it.
no, it's not.
And
It's not.
so another thing is where I'm just kind of like, why is they're writing Butcher like the same shit that he's been doing everywhere, like every other season?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. I could understand that. I
Yeah,
mean, he does
dude.
some crazy shit in the final episode where it's like, dude, like,
No, for sure.
that scene was cool, but it's like,
Like, bro.
you're still screwing over your boys, your
Exactly.
team. Like, why do you keep fucking doing this? I get why he did it, but it's just like, damn, bro. Like, you keep asking for forgiveness and that you're gonna change, and like you kind of get humbled at the idea that you are dying slowly from the tumor in your head, and yet you still don't have the will to change.
Yeah, man.
So it's like, how
I couldn't
how can we trust you as like being back as part of the good guys if you just keep
Yeah.
fucking up?
You know what I'm relating it to, dude?
See,
With Arthur Morgan. Where he's dying and like he's
Oh, no.
on the path of redemption. And he's actually changing his ways. But yet Butcher's dying and he don't give a fuck. He's not learning
Yeah.
from his mistakes.
in a sense, I could kind of see like I can kind of like the arc that he's on because it's like he doesn't care
That's true.
as long as he gets what he wants, and that is revenge on
Yeah.
on Homelander and
But-
what he did to his wife and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
But and I can understand that. I mean, I can understand when something like that obsessive can become too like controlling in your mind and stuff like that. But a part of me is like,
That's true.
I would have maybe have liked a written character for Butcher where it's like you could go about that without having to screw over your friends. Like you don't have to do that every season. Like we've done this and counting maybe
4
like
times
3
now.
times, Bucko.
And so many
Yeah.
times they forgive him and bring him back in,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, man. So I'm just
I
kind of
mean,
like,
the
how
only
many
thing
more
that's
times are
cons-
we gonna have to learn this lesson?
The only thing that's consistent with him is the promise that he made to his wife and trying to
Save Ryan.
save Ryan.
Like you know,
That's the only thing that's really consistent
because
with his
her whole
character.
thing was like, I don't want Ryan to become another Homelander, and like he feels like he failed her because now he sided with him. That's
Mm-hmm.
what whole thing about like him trying to get Ryan out of Homelander's like
Yeah.
care. Like that's the whole thing why he wanted to sedate him with the cookies, but he throws it away and blah 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 and this and that. And he's like, you know what I mean? Like I understand that's what he's going for, but it's like, damn, bro, you keep fucking up your dudes. It's like your boys, your team. It's like, dude, fucking hell, you're almost like, and I guess in a way it's kind of like poetic, where it's like, how are you any better than Homelander who fucks up his own team?
That's true.
So there's a lot of imagery between the two, and I've caught that on like pretty
That's true,
early
yeah,
on
you're right.
in the show, and I get that they're still going into that, but it's just like, god damn, man, I wish you would just be good for once. It's just like hard, bro, to like root for him sometimes.
But on some real shit, I love the smirks that he does. The smile. Like,
Yeah.
It's funny, bro. It's
like
funny.
it.
Do you
It's
know?
funny.
Do you notice
Don't
he
get your
does it a
penny to the
lot?
he
twist,
does that a
darling.
lot, yeah.
Where like he's like talking to the camera, or like when he's talking to somebody, and he always does the
Yeah,
head
he does
turn,
the side
the
thing,
hide,
yeah.
the side
Yeah.
face shit. Dude, I forget. That shit's fucking funny. Like in season 3,
He does that so much.
dude, he does it a lot in the show. In season 3, he had the little dude in the bag of cocaine. He shakes it and he goes, "Go on, mate, have a bump." And it's like, dude, he always do that side shit, bro. Like it's
Why
so
do you sound like him though? What the
This
fuck?
That
shit's
was
funny
funny.
as fuck, dude.
Yo.
That's his little side face.
Go on, mate. Have some.
Have a bump. Like,
I'm like, God, bro, that shit's funny.
you see those memes of
Yes.
like, where Butcher's like,
Oi,
oi, oi,
Huey.
like,
Oi, Huey.
or no, he's like, oi, Homelander got me, son, and then it's just a picture of fucking Starlight's
Starlight
fucking elephant in the room, guys.
Hell no.
Oh yeah, before elephant in the room, two characters look extremely different, right? MM, he looks really, he's like skinny as hell
He's
now,
really skinny.
Yeah.
right?
And he shaved his beard.
Yeah, and compare how he looks, right? And then Starlight, man, she clearly had some plastic surgery. Her face looks like that Squidward meme, the handsome Squidward.
Like
meme
her
type
cheeks
shit.
are more prominent, her cheekbones,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and like her jawline.
yeah.
And I'm just like, you didn't look like this before.
No, she definitely had plastic surgery. And
Yeah.
and I'll be honest, I know we're clown, and like there's memes, right, where like it says that, and then it has Starlight's over exaggerated face. I get it, but she actually did come on social media that like seeing that and like hearing people what she has to say with her like has fucked her up, and I think she deactivated her social media because of it. Because obviously if she had to get plastic surgery, she was already self-conscious before. So now that people are hating on it and shit, she's even worse now. Which I know we're making jokes, but that does suck. But hey, I mean,
That's true.
everybody has their own insecurities.
Yeah.
Personally, I thought she was pretty. You know what I mean? I thought she was really pretty.
Yeah, I did
But
too.
now, personally, not as much anymore. But hey, I mean, to each their own, right? If she feels pretty and stuff, that's perfectly fine. But that's one thing that I did see with her situation. But the memes are funny, man. I just can't lie to y'all.
Yeah.
I can't lie. The memes are funny, man.
Hell
I
no.
can't lie.
It sucks because I feel like there's some angles where I'm like, you know what, it does look good, and then there's some angles where I'm just like, you know what, it don't look
Did
good.
y'all see the picture that I fucking?
I don't
There's a-
remember. I do remember you sending something though.
And I think someone in the same scene. It was like the farm scene or something. Where people were, I think I saw someone on Twitter saying, "Am I watching The Boys or am I watching The Walking Dead?" I'm serious, bro. That shit was fucking crazy. But anyway, okay, we're back here. Okay, let's see, where were we at, man? We were
So we were in
episode 5 still, right?
yeah, we were in episode 5. Hold on, that's because I'm trying to pull up something on my phone. Because I remember I wrote down something that I want to get across for this review. I wrote it down for this review.
Oh,
And I just want to pull it up to make sure that I don't want to lose it. Okay, I got it. Okay, so in episode 5, we talked about like the whole thing with his dad going on that murder spree, right? And then he ends up dying slowly at the end.
Yes.
Now, at the same time, in this episode, there's a subplot where the boys, or rather, Butcher tells the boys that apparently there's actually a virus that can kill soups.
Yep.
And he mentions that this virus is being worked on at some like university or some shit.
Gen V.
I was gonna ask, bro. When I
if you
heard
watch-
that, I was like, this sounds like a Gen V connection.
If you watch Gen V, you'll learn what this virus is and where it took place, and 2 characters that we see in the Boys season 4.
Yeah. Okay.
There's 2 characters that pop up in the season, and like, you might think, well, who the fuck are these guys? Well, they're part of Gen V.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I had a feeling when he mentioned that the virus was being created in the university. I'm like, I feel like this is a Gen V connection.
Yes.
Okay. Well, he mentions that there's this virus, right? And the only way that we can get to the virus, or like anyone that knows anything about it, is by contacting Stan Edgar from prison, who we know is like Gus, right, from Breaking Bad. So they go to prison and they take him out in exchange for like, hey, you help us get the virus that could potentially kill Soups, because we want to kill Newman and Homelander and anyone who gets in our way, in exchange for amnesty, basically, right? So he basically says, well, the only place that I know is a lab back at my home or something like that. So they go all to that one farm, and that's when they get ambushed by Newman and her people. Like, they were expecting them to be at that lab. And then some shit goes down where, like, they were apparently experimenting, was it Compound V on animals?
Yes.
So they were
Yep.
experimenting the on farm animals, the fucking Compound
Like,
V.
why would you want to experiment on that? You know, why would you want to? Do
I get
that?
like animal testing, like you wouldn't want to test it on animals before on real people, but it's like, dude, that's
Sure,
Compound
yeah.
V, that's superpowers.
Like, what if you create a fucking sheep that's Superman? Like,
And then little do we see. That's what happens.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Those fucking sheep, bro. Those sheep come out of the fucking farm and they're flying and shit, and they're ripping like dudes' head in halves. They're like flying them out in the air, and like two of them will come and like rip them in half and
that
shit.
shit was crazy.
Like, everyone get the fuck out! And so everyone just runs for their lives. They all lock themselves out into the farm,
That shit was
into the
crazy.
barn.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we can't go out there, man, because this shit's fucked, bro. And in this very scene is when we meet Victoria Newman's, I guess you could say, lover, her partner, or I guess better yet, the baby daddy of her daughter. Because we never really knew anything about the other character involved. Like, we knew she had a daughter, but like, where's the dad at? And we find out that Samir, the scientist that's working at this farm lab, is actually the partner of Victoria Newman and is the father of her daughter. And you find out that like apparently he's able to take the virus out of the I think, wasn't there like a dead sheep in the farm, I think, and they were like, oh, I can extract the virus out of the sheep and we can use it.
Yes, exactly.
So Butcher was like, fuck that. We need to save all of that and use it against Homelander and use it, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, motherfucker, there's sheep out there trying to kill us, bro, that are flying and shit. We need to use it on them. And so eventually Butcher gives in and he's like, all right, fuck it, right? So he takes the L and he's like, all right, whatever, man. And so they end up extracting the virus out of that dead sheep and they use it against the sheep that are attacking them outside. And he eventually wins. They eventually kill all the different sheep and the sheep go down or whatever. But amongst this chaos of them running for their lives and shooting the sheep down, Samir apparently goes missing. But Samir goes missing, presumed dead, because they eventually find his chopped off leg. And it's like, oh shit, one of the sheep got him or whatever the fuck, right? And since technically Stan Edgar didn't help the boys obtain the virus, they put him back in prison. It's like, well, sorry, deal's off type shit, right? And then later in the show, it's like not really a post-credit scene. It's just like the last scene before credits roll. We find out that Samir's actually alive. He's being held hostage, and you find out that it was actually Butcher who took him and chopped his leg off and put him away because Kessler shows up, and they're both there, and they're like, basically, you're going to help us make more of that virus, and we're going to use it to kill Homelander. And it's like, Jesus. And I kind of like this, bro, because it's like, oh, wow, Butcher is going to, like, very evil extents to like get what he wants. Like, he's even going as far as to like, it's not to say that he's not done shit like this in the past in other seasons of The Boys, but it's just like, oh wow, like it's gotten that deep.
Yeah, I agree.
And that to me is crazy.
That is crazy, man. I do like that too. That was the end of episode 5, right?
So then episode 6 is the episode where we go to Tech Knight's party, and that's the whole episode where we deal with the Batman and shit. Also, I was having a hard time figuring out, like, who's Tech Knight? Like, I'm trying to figure out who...
If you watch Gen V, he was there.
Oh, I'm sure. No, but my thing was, like, no, what I meant is that, like, the show obviously parodies a lot of superheroes from DC and Marvel.
I thought Batman.
Well, eventually when we see the Bat Cave, per se, when he opens it with that book shit... And like that secret entrance opens, he's like, "Let's go to my like lair or whatever the fuck." I'm like, "Oh, it's Batman." Okay, I get it.
And he's a billionaire, yeah.
Yeah. So that sounds like, okay, so Tech Knight is Batman. That's why Homelander's like, Smoker doesn't have superheroes. He like sneak disses him.
Yeah.
Like that line makes more sense now. So I was trying to figure out, I'm like, who the fuck is Tech Knight exactly? Like, what's he parodying? And I was like, oh, okay, it's Batman. So Tech Knight we meet in the show. Who apparently was in Gen V before, but this is basically the parody of Batman in the universe. And what we apparently find out is that well, actually, I got to read it.
The Tech Knight is hosting a party at his mansion with Newman and the Seven, and they are basically gonna infiltrate the party by disguising Huey as Super Web Weaver.
Oh my god,
Web Weaver was fucking.
Dude, Web Weaver was
the process of getting that costume was insane.
Dude, that's the parody of Spider-Man, obviously.
Yeah.
Web Weaver is a cool name though.
It is a cool name.
That is a cool name.
In fact, I think I saw people share pictures of him on the comics, and the comic suit.
He looks cool.
It's very it's very similar to what you see in the show.
Oh.
So like the suit's very comic book accurate to the comic book, like
cool.
the Web Weaver suit.
Web Weaver's a cool name.
It is a cool name, bro.
Web
it is
Weaver.
a cool name.
I might have to take that.
Oh.
As my alias.
hell no.
But okay, I need you guys to help me out on this.
Oh yeah.
Don't
okay.
they go to Tech Knight's party because what? Oh, what was the reason? What was the
So the reason why
again?
is because Tech Knight is hosting a meeting with the
Senate,
the senators and all that
Seven.
shit with Newman and the Seven.
And they're trying to garner support.
Exactly. They're trying to garner some
Oh,
support.
and wasn't Huey disguised as Web Weaver because he was
Yeah.
like eavesdropping on? He had a mic on him.
He had a mic on him and to plant
Mics to hear in on the
Mics.
conversation.
That-
That's
on the
what it is.
conversation.
You're right. Okay, because I was like, I wondered, like, what were they going after for? Was it for a person, a device, or
just
Nah,
eavesdrop.
just
it was
intel.
that. You're
Yeah,
right. I
that's what
remember
they're
now.
looking
And then
for.
eventually he crossed paths with Tech Knight.
Yep.
And he's like, let's go to my lair.
Yeah.
And that's when we get
His
some
lair.
crazy
Oh my
fucking shit,
God.
bro. Okay,
This
what
is
did
the
you?
part. This is the part. Like I said, I'm like, okay,
What are we-
this whole
what are we
shock
doing?
value bullshit. This is the part where like,
Well, here
what's
before
going on?
before we get to that,
Yeah.
let's like kind of explain what happened. So Tech
Okay.
Knight
Yeah,
obviously is into like some S&M dominatrix shit, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually, this is kind of random. Ashley joins in. Ashley
Ashley
from
knows Tech Knight and like Ashley's there. It's like, what
yeah,
the fuck?
she's in like all leather and shit, and like they start doing S&M shit to Huey, who they don't know is Huey. They just think it's Web Weaver, and they start doing a whole bunch of shit to him, and like they're doing all this crazy bullshit, and then eventually they find out.
And dude, hold on. Well, before that, another thing too, people were upset about this.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
this
it
I
was
saw.
I
and,
saw
it, and
that.
it was mostly the left, and that's because like this is sexual assault, this is rape, or like whatever the fuck. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I didn't see the episode. I saw what people were saying. I'm like, oh my god, what did they do, my boy Hugh? And I saw the episode. I'm like, this is it. This is fucked up. I don't think it's like
That bad.
I don't think it's that bad that you have to make a fuss over it.
Right.
But it is still fucked up for Huey. Though.
No, it is. And another thing too is that this is the episode that takes place after his dad's death.
Uh-huh.
And we kind of see him kind of be like nonchalant about the fact that his fucking dad died. And so when he's
Yeah.
here, a lot of people are like, don't you guys think there was people on social media tweeting out
Yeah.
at the writers of the show, and they were like, don't you think it was a little too far to make Huey go through that bullshit with Tech
After
Knight
fucking killing his
after
dad.
his just lost his dad? Like, you're just pretty much kicking him and punching him down when he's already on his lowest. And the writer's dad has replied with, we didn't see it that way, we thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that's
bro.
my point with the character is like,
And it's like, what?
Huey's character in the very beginning of The Boys was always the punching bag and the laughing stock, and it was him trying to be actually useful and trying to be independent, and he was doing that, right? Remember, he left the boys and shit. He's like, I'm gonna be independent. No, I don't. I could be my own thing, type shit. And now we're back. We're back to him being the punching bag, and it's like, what do we like? The writers did not learn. And one thing too I heard is in the comics it's worse. Like Huey goes through bullshit.
Oh no,
in
I've
the
heard.
comics.
I've heard he goes through a lot
So,
worse.
but either way, man, it's like, come on, bro. Like, why are we doing this to my boy Huey, man?
And then,
like, this adds no character development to him. This is just for shock value.
yeah.
Like, this doesn't add anything to the story for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
So
cool.
then-
like you
so-
got molested. Now what? Like,
Yeah, bro. For real.
okay, an extra trauma added to you. What are you gonna do with it? Nothing. Like, there's nothing to be done with it.
That's true.
But-
And then, okay, this was right here. So what is this episode? What is it, 6? It was in episode 6 where I'm like, okay, man, I'm having a real big issue
Okay.
with the show.
Okay.
And this is kind of like where episode 6 was kind of my breaking point, where I'm like, yeah, this season is super fucking mid. For a bunch of different reasons, right?
Yeah.
So I already mentioned a few of them earlier in the pod. I said, like, inconsistent writing with Kimiko and Frenchie, inconsistent writing with Starlight, the irrelevancy of Firecracker and her backstory, her connection with Starlight,
The Huey's mother. and,
Huey's
like, the
mom
whole
being
dad shit.
irrelevant and shit, and like all that bullshit. But like now, episode 5 and 6, I started to notice other inconsistencies with the show, both in the show and the soups, and Ryan. I'm gonna touch on Ryan real quick.
Yeah,
because
I'm actually curious to hear.
I'm gonna touch on Ryan just real quick, right? I didn't like how they wrote Ryan's journey in this show. I feel like it was out of order. Because later after this, I forget which episode exactly it is, but it was an episode after he meets with Butcher at his apartment. That Homelander is with Ryan, and he sees that dude with the glasses, the dude that directs the
yes.
movies. He's like harassing one of the females there that work there, and he basically tells Ryan like, how do you think we should punish him? And like he makes him like apologize to her, and it's like, no, that's not good enough. Get on your knees. And like he apologizes again, like, no, that's not good enough. And he tells the girl, slap him until you think you've had your fit. And so like she keeps fucking slapping the shit out of the dude under his wishes, and you kind of see the smirk
on
Ryan's face, like he enjoys it or whatever the fuck. But a part of me was a little like confused because I'm like, I feel like they're telling his character development out of order. Like, don't you think it would be better if we saw him enjoying that power, you know, the feeling of having power over mortals before he had that hangout with Butcher? Because maybe that hangout with Butcher is what kind of like brings him to his senses, like, oh shit, Butcher's actually looking out for me, and he doesn't want me to turn out like my dad, and like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And maybe it's like a realization thing where it's like, oh shit, I am turning out like my dad, like I'm doing all these terrible things and all this shit, like I got a man killed, and like I'm out here having enjoyment of watching these mortal people, you know, me feeling like I'm above them and shit. So I feel like they should have told it out of order, because that would have maybe portrayed his character development. You kind of see his decline to villainy, but then he has that hangout with Butcher, and that kind of maybe redeems him in the end.
Yeah.
So I thought his character development was written out of order, because you had him...
I can see that, yeah.
You had him be innocent in the beginning, and then he turns into evil, but then he, at the end of the show, goes back to being, like, innocent. It's like... It's kind of jagged.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm just like, okay, that's weird. I don't like that. Another thing, too... Tech Knight and like the whole like dominatrix shit that he was doing to Huey. This was my last straw where I was like, okay, the writing in the show for the Supes has changed. And this is like a rant that I gave you guys on the group chat, but now I want to just put it on tape for the review, and I have it written down. I actually pulled up the text messages that I had sent you guys. But basically I said that, no, you asked me this. I had thought it. And then you asked me, hey, Hav, let me ask you a question. And I was like, Hector, I'm telling you right now, bro, that's exactly my thought. Like, that's how I've been thinking about the whole season. And that was that we felt that the writing for the Supes in the show diminished, where it's no longer, we're going to make these Supes weirdos and shitty people for a reason, but we're going to do it for the sake of shock factor. And I don't like that. And I'm going to give you an example, right? I have an example right here. I'm going to try to see if I can pull it up. So basically, I was saying that the show did a very good job at like portraying that these Supes were terrible, like shitty, hypocritical superheroes.
Yeah.
But it was all served to play a bigger purpose. Like it sent a bigger message.
Yeah.
One example being Ezekiel, the pastor guy. He's the dude who was like, pray the gay away, guys, be right with God. But the irony is he himself is homosexual.
Yeah.
And he's like hooking up with other dudes and shit like that in nightclubs. But it tells a bigger story where it's like Supes can be hypocrites.
Yeah, of course.
They can tell you to be like, they can preach about one thing when they're the ones committing those flaws in the first place.
Exactly. Yep.
Another one is the Deep. Obviously, in the Deep, we find out that he sexually assaulted a bunch of women in his past, Starlight being one of them in the first season.
Yeah.
Then we find out in season 2 what he's tripping balls on that drug, and then his gills start talking to him. It's a funny scene, but you find out the gills are like, you're insecure about your gills. You're insecure about your body. You're scared that females are going to ridicule and make fun of you for your gills. Therefore, you degrade them first before they have an option of degrading you.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, oh shit, that's why he does it, right?
And we see him get molested too. Remember that scene?
Yeah, that's true.
With the girl? He starts molesting his ass, bro.
You're talking about like when he's putting her hands in the...
Yeah,
it's like his
touch those gills, and then he's like...
Yeah.
He's fingering him
Yeah,
and shit.
fingering the gills, and
that
like,
hurts.
you dirty... Like, she's like...
Yeah, bro.
Oh, man. She was going crazy on it, man.
Another example I want to give is like Homelander, right? I put Homelander is a literal god. But the cost of that is that he doesn't value mortal human life. So he's a psychopath. He sees himself as above the human life.
Right, yeah.
And he's like a sociopath and a narcissist, right? So those are already 3 examples of like Supes being terrible people, but it served a bigger message.
Yes.
Now cut to season 4. Now we have Supes that are just as bad, but there's no bigger message. Example, the multiple guy. Oh, this dude makes multiple clones of himself and he eats each other's asses. Okay, that's weird. That's shock value. And the boys have had shock value before, but with a message. Okay, what's the message with him? Nothing. It was just to be shocking, bro. It's gross. Gotcha. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, what about Tech Knight and like him being into that like whole kinky like dominatrix S&M shit? What was the big picture on that? It's like nothing, bro. It was just awkward. Gotcha.
And it was funny, bro.
And it was like, okay, well, what about Web Weaver being a fucking being a drug addict and like him being like, you know, him being constantly high on drugs and shit? Like, what was the bigger message on that? Like, we just thought it'd be funny if he was nervous, he would shit out webs. I'm like, what are you talking about? And so you realize that now they started writing soups in the show for the sake of shock value, not necessarily to like deliver a bigger message. Like, oh, like that's why they're like that. It's just like, oh no, they're just doing weirdo shit because shock value. Mm-hmm. And that's, in a sense, it reminds me actually of the boys' comics. In the comics, a lot of people point this out. I never read the comics, but I've seen people say that the comics tend to write the soups, every soup in the show, in the comic I mean, except for Starlight, as pieces of shit, right? But because for the sake of shock value, like there's a soup that like you find out like in the show that like, oh, like the Professor X in that comic molests the children at the mansion, or you find out that there's a soup that Huey accidentally kills, like in the show. Remember, like when he gets Temp V and he punches his hand through that dude's chest. In the comics, that happened, but it happens to a soup. He accidentally kills him, and Huey feels terrible about it. Oh my god, I just killed somebody. He's never killed anybody before. Oh, but you're not supposed to feel bad for him because you find out he had a gerbil up his ass. You're like,
a gerbil up his ass?
Yes.
What?
And there was another comic,
and
there's another comic book panel that's well known in the boys' comics where this dude is getting a golden shower by multiple guys. Yeah, dude, it's graphic. It's fucking weird, bro.
I mean, Mario and I, we've seen that before. Not in comics, but in a show that we would watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that, Mario?
Yeah, and you? Yeah, I remember that.
That shit was crazy. Hey, yo, no, the show you.
No, yes, I'm talking like
no, I know,
you.
because in you, I'm like, oh.
Yo.
No, guys, the Netflix show you. Yeah, bro. It was
but like,
gnarly.
I started to realize that now they're writing soups in this show like they did in the comics, where they're just making them shock value material, rather than making them shitty people with a bigger purpose. I'll give you another example, because I know me and Hector, we both agree that the boys peaked in season 3.
Yes.
Do you remember in season 3 when when Soldier Boy was like, "You help me find my old team, I'm gonna kill them, and I'll help you kill this Homelander." One of the people that they were on the hunt to kill was this dude who could like go into your mind. Remember in the forest, in the woods? He can go into your mind and shit. We find out that dude is kind of a schizophrenic because he's like, I hear the voices, I hear everyone's voice. Like he goes crazy hearing other people's thoughts. That makes him a schizophrenic. Like that's cool because someone with that power would have that side effect.
Yeah.
We know that someone who's insecure about the gills in their body would probably have a defense mechanism of degrading females and sexually assaulting them first before they degrade him first.
Yeah.
It's like a psychological thing. It only makes sense that if you're a Superman variant but evil, that you don't value human life and you see everyone as below you. And that's why you don't value. That's why you let the plane full of people die, because you don't value that kind of shit.
And not only that, like with Homelander, he says he's a god, right? And he feels like empowerment, but yet he's nothing without. Like he feels above people, but he's nothing without them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah.
So for me, it's like the show has spent the last 3 seasons writing soups as shitty people for a bigger message. This season is showing us, hey, we're going to write these soups to be like weirdos and like all this shit for the sake of shock value and nothing else. And it leaves me wondering where it's like, what is the purpose of seeing this shit? Like, yeah, it's shocking, but like, dude, you're relying on it too much. Like, this is now the third time we've seen
Like-
a soup in this show do some weirdo shit.
Yeah,
and
like
it's
we didn't need to see
for what?
We didn't need to see Huey get molested like that. Like for what?
like again, shock value.
And like even after like the whole situation with his dad is like, come on, bro, really? Like we don't really need.
I'm
that
telling
shit.
you, bro, like there's just so many inconsistencies in the writing, both in the characters and just in the plot.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bro, what the fuck is going on? And so that's my piece on that. That my last straw was with Tech Knight. I'm like, really, dude? Now like we have the Batman parody and like he's into S&M bullshit. Like, I don't get the bigger message. And he's kind of like a racist or whatever, because like at one point they get the upper hand on him and they're donating his money to causes.
Nah, this is funny.
And it's like $10 million to Black Lives Matter. He's like, no, not those people. Blah blah blah. And I'm like,
it's funny
dude,
because
no.
like they
And
try to
again-
donate. That was the last straw. The BLN donation. There was like other ones like donate $5 million to I don't know this and this.
Something
Donate
charity,
$2 million to them. $2 million to them. It's like no, I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna crack. Fuck that. No, all right, we got him. What?
100
Donate
million
100 million to Black Lives Matter. No,
no, not that.
No, you know what?
And again, this kind of ties back to like your propaganda shit.
Yeah,
where it's like,
man.
why is he being a weirdo
Yeah.
about Black Lives Matter and shit? What the fuck?
No, get right. No, here's another scene. Do you remember when he was talking with A Train
Uh-huh.
and he says that his ancestors
my
owned
God.
slaves and
Oh
shit?
my god, yeah.
And he literally told A Train,
I
is
would have
like,
caught you.
yeah, like
What
It's like he would have been A Train would have been a real trouble, would have been a real problem for my ancestors. But hey, we would have caught you or some bullshit.
Oh my
It's
god.
like what the fuck, bro?
I know, dude.
I don't know, man.
A lot of people were upset about that.
Or
Obviously.
the
I wasn't,
the
though.
movie
I
he
was-
was making with Will Ferrell. That movie too.
Oh my god, yeah,
That
training
was funny.
Training A Train.
Yeah.
That was funny. Will Ferrell being on the show was funny as shit.
Trading A Train, yeah, that's funny. But yeah, the whole I thought that was funny because like they were like Kamiko I think was stabbing him and he was like, oh yeah, like he was liking it. 'cause
Yeah.
he's a weirdo. He's a weird fuck. And then to get him to break was to do those donations.
Yeah.
To like those charities and like the Black Lives Matter.
And to me, I'm just like, what the fuck, bro? Like, I
Yeah.
don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But I don't like the way that they're writing soups in the show, bro. I feel like that was a big L.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like one of the things that took away my enjoyment for this season, bro. And like that whole Tech Night episode is like my last straw. And I was like, okay, man. The
Yeah.
writing here is fucking trash, bro. Like we're writing soups weird. The character development is all over the place. No one's consistent with the last 3 seasons. And honestly, bro, this is probably one of my least favorite episodes in the entire season.
This is the
but
episode-
the only reason why it's not like the worst or why I don't completely hate it is because the twist ending's fire.
Is it this episode?
It was this episode,
Was it?
cowgirl.
But hang on,
It was
before we
this
get
one.
to that,
Yeah, go ahead.
this is the episode where like I said that Newman has that another propaganda
Oh
type
yeah,
bullshit.
yeah. Was she
Where-
was being
where she-
mansplained
Where she was being mansplained by some guy, like, oh yeah, 'cause-
about abortion or whatever.
like
the fuck.
abortion is bad or whatever, blah blah blah. Like he says some bullshit. Like he brings out some statistics. I think like oh maybe only a certain percentage of people that get raped or something like that. I don't know how to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Newman just goes back to Sister Sage. He's like, I just got mansplained by a man about abortion or something. And then that was it. That was the scene. And it's like, bruh, what the fuck? Like, God forbid a guy having an opinion about that, right? Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, do we have to be like, how do I explain this, man? Do we? It's almost like, oh, you can't have an opinion on something because you're not this or something. I don't know how to explain it. Like, oh, just because I'm not, like, do I have to be a lawyer to like have an opinion about something? I don't explain it, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's late as fuck. I can't get my point across. Like, do I have to be a mathematician to tell you, 2 + 2 is 4 type shit? Like, bro, come on. Anyway, it was just a random scene that wasn't supposed to, like, I just thought it wasn't necessary. It's just one of those scenes where like, okay, whatever, move on. And we did. And so obviously Huey's like in trouble and shit. Actually goes in there, tries to save him. Sister Sage is there. Shoots Sage in the head, right? And this has caused to have like this panic attack. Because I know you wanted to close off the episode, but I wanted to mention this real quick. He has this panic attack, and he's like, oh shit, and he falls. And then Kamiko's there, and A-Train is there, and A-Train ends up like agreeing to save him and takes him to that hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts him on the gurney, and then you see 2 kids right there, and you see the kid looking at A-Train like like a superhero. And then you can see A-Train feel good about it, like oh shit, yeah, this is cool as fuck. And then he leaves, and yeah, then because Sage got shot in the head, she's not dead, right?
She's
Because
like all loopy and shit.
yeah, because so what happens is her brain constantly. The reason why she's so smart is because her brain constantly regenerates. So even if you shoot her in the head, she's not dead because it's super constantly regenerating. And so whenever they have the talk, whenever Sister Sage was supposed to talk to the senators and the funding people, whatever, she couldn't. She was all loopy because she had a bullet in her head, and Homelander was like upset, like oh fuck. And then that's when Newman steps up.
And she basically tells the senators, like, well, in a nutshell, she just rallies all of them against President Singer.
Yes.
And they're like, you know what, fuck that guy. Let's turn against him, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because the goal is to try to get Newman as president. Situation here. But yeah, okay, now we're getting to the end.
Yeah, here, let me
do you
see.
wanna
Where
talk
did I
about?
pick up on? Oh yeah, and then they later find out through Tech Nine that apparently they're using his prisons as internment camps.
Yeah, like they're gonna do on some what is it? On some Nazi shit, bro. Like genocide, like encampment, like yeah, like what are they called?
Internment?
Is that what they? Oh yeah.
Internment camps is what it says on here. And it's like, oh shit. So like that's why all this is starting to tie together and shit. I still was pissed about this episode. I don't give a fuck. But then we get to the end of the episode, and that's when we find out that Samir, the scientist guy, is still working on the virus, and he successfully takes the virus out of that dead sheep. And then Butcher is like, good, we're gonna use it. And it's like, this is not strong enough to kill Homelander. And he's like, fuck that, you're full of shit, right? Just fix it. And he's like, no, you don't understand. In order for us to make a virus strong enough to kill Homelander, it would have to be like airborne. It would have to be strong, and we would have to enhance it to where it could potentially eradicate every soup on the planet. And Kessler's there being a thing in his, like, being the voice in his ear, like, dude, yeah, like that's what we want. That's a dream come true. But Butcher's having second thoughts because he's like, I mean, yeah, but Ryan's a soup. And so he's realizing that going through with this plan would mean that he would kill Ryan. But Joe Kessler is like, fuck no, man. Like, he's not even your kid, blah, 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 this and that. But he keeps hallucinating Becca. He's like, Butcher, don't go through with this. No, like, think about Ryan. You promised, blah, blah, blah. And then we see Joe say, shut the fuck up to Becca. And so Butcher was like, wait a minute. What the fuck? You can see her? And the twist, which is... It is a twist, bro, but I'm gonna be honest with you.
I suspected
social media picked this shit up quite early on. Yeah, a lot of people early on, like episode 2 and shit. Like people were picking up that Joe Kessler was probably another hallucination.
Oh wow.
It was all in his mind, and we find out that it is true. And it's like, but this doesn't make any sense. What the fuck? Like, I shouldn't be hallucinating you. It's like, well, you shouldn't be hallucinating Becca either, and yet we're still here. And it's probably because you got a beat up tumor in your fucking brain that's keeping me alive and shit. And you find out that the way that I interpreted this, bro, is that like that part in Butcher's brain that like makes him super hateful towards the soups, and like the thing that convinces him to screw over the boys once again, and like always go through like his plan of like getting what he wants no matter what, which is to take down Homelander, take down the soups and everything. I feel like he always had that in his head. But now that tumor in his head
is like releasing that.
Is giving him the hallucination, and now the hatred that he has towards soups and stuff has now in person like fight him into like a hallucination that is Jeffrey Dean Morgan, a character who apparently he knew in the real world years ago, but who apparently died. So it's like one of those things where it's a personification of the hatred that he has for Homelander and the soups. That's why he's constantly like, hell yeah, let's go through with it, blah, 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 this and that.
It's like the devil and angel situation.
Exactly. I was going to say where Becca is more like the rational, like, don't do this, think about your friends, think about Ryan. But there's that other side of his brain that hates Homelander and hates him.
You always wanted this.
And Joe is that other side of the coin. And so I liked the message. I liked the bigger picture where it's like, oh shit, I made the connection. Like, Becca and Kessler are both hallucinations, and they both represent different sides of Butcher.
Mm-hmm.
The side that he knows that like this is bad, and I probably shouldn't do this because I shouldn't screw over my friends. But the other side is like, I hate Soups, I hate Homelander, and what he did to my Becca, and blah blah blah. And so like I liked that shit, and it's
Yeah,
crazy
me
to
too.
think that this entire time Kessler was never real, and he was been that thing that's been driving his motive the entire season. That made the ending of this episode fire as fuck, bro.
It was fire, man. And like, I don't know if it was just me, bro, but I saw Negan when he like went up to him like, Billy, my boy, Daddy's home, and he walks off.
That was some Negan
I'm like,
shit.
that was some Negan shit. Like, even the way his mannerisms, like he did like the little side profile thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's some Negan shit.
Yeah,
Like,
bro.
Don't worry, Billy, my boy, Daddy's home.
Yeah.
And he walks off. That was fire. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Insert Saw music. Dun-dun-dun.
For real.
Because they have like scenes of like where Billy's talking to himself in the park, pouring like
the liquor onto nothing.
onto the table. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that shit was fucking. I was just like, damn, bro, the internet was right. Because like
Yeah.
everyone called that shit. And here's another thing too. A lot of people theorized that Kessler was a hallucination. And a lot of people were also thinking, yo, do you think Butcher is hallucinating Joe Kessler because that's the side effect of him using Temp V? And people made the connection of, well, if that's the case, then Huey should have that side effect as well.
Yeah.
Oh shit. What if he's hallucinating his mom?
Oh.
And
That's
honestly,
a good
bro,
theory, dog.
Honestly, bro, I'm gonna be real.
That's a good theory.
I'm gonna be real. I wish that were true.
But it's not, though.
It's not because
Because
other
Starlight
other
acknowledges
people
her.
acknowledges
Yeah.
her presence.
Yeah.
So it wasn't true, but a part of me kind of wished it was, because it's like, damn, this character Daphne is just kind of irrelevant in this fucking show. But if I had found out, oh, she's just a hallucination, oh, okay, that was why she's not really real.
No,
It's
but
just something that he hallucinates, and
No, but-
therefore it doesn't matter.
no, but yeah, you're right. Starlight and other people acknowledge her.
Which just makes her character worse.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, I would have liked for her to be another hallucination to Huey.
Yeah.
Because it would kind of explain why she's not that well written. I mean, Kessler's not that well written. He's very one dimensional. He's very like, yeah, man, we got to go through with this. We got to kill Homelander. We got to get the virus. Blah blah blah. Like he's just very hate.
Yeah.
But it makes sense though, because again, like what I mentioned earlier, the personification of his hatred.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, then Huey should be hallucinating his mom. Like that would make sense why her character development and writing is so fucking one dimensional and boring. It's like, well, they're not real.
Yeah.
And when I saw that Starlight addresses her presence in the next episode, or in this episode, I should say, I was like, so she's real. And therefore, that diminishes her character, and like,
Yeah.
that sucks.
That's true.
So I didn't fuck with that, but
All
the
right.
whole twist in the end was fire.
Okay, now we're at
Episode
7. This is where it starts picking up, man. This is. Oh yeah, so this is where Butcher bails Frenchie out of jail, and end up assisting Samir with the virus, and then obviously once again he gives up the leadership of the boys and gives it back to Butcher.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about that? It's like, oh shit.
He realizes he's not in shape, bro, with the panic attacks and everything. He almost costed the mission last time.
Yeah, and the reason why is because like he has those like this. I like this about with I guess is he started to realize like, holy shit, this whole soup shit is gonna kill me just like it killed my like my father and like his father.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and I just passed that over there. I'm lucky I got out of there alive because of A-Train and shit. Maybe I could just put this behind me and just leave with my wife and daughter. And this is the part where it's crazy because like they actually get together. They have like a moment where like his wife ends up kissing him and stuff, and they're like, oh shit. It's like, whoa, what happened to the other guy that got killed? Remember he got killed? That was kind of satisfying. But yeah, I was like, holy fuck, man. I mean, I understand. I definitely understand. Like, yo, you don't want to follow the same footsteps as your father and like his grandfather and stuff. But and he actually was thinking about it, and I think he was, right? And then he eventually just said, I can't, man. I gotta finish this shit.
Yeah, he backs out, but then eventually gets back in.
Mm-hmm. When I'm out, I'm in.
Yeah, right.
But okay, so where we at?
We're at the boys discover a plan to assassinate Singer that will be carried out by an unidentified shapeshifter.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's when what's it called? I think it's Huey and Starlight. It's just them two, or maybe MM as well. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Butcher. the three of them go into this apartment. And they find her, and the first they think that she's sort of innocent woman.
Yeah.
Then she goes and runs off and shit. She has super strength. She's running down the fucking stairs and everything, and she keeps ripping parts of her body off. And you're like, what the fuck is up with this
going
bitch?
on?
But then you find out that she's a shapeshifter, and her way of shapeshifting is by touching somebody, and then they shapeshift into that person, but they're under the skin of the old person.
That
So
is crazy.
She's ripping out her skin to like.
That's a cool concept, though.
It is though. No, it is. Hell yeah.
And the reason
then-
why they're searching for it is because we find out, right, through the eavesdropping and shit, that they're trying to use, from Sage, right, is through Sister Sage, is that they're trying to use the shapeshifter to assassinate the president. Mm-hmm. And it's, you know what's crazy? The whole, like, Donald Trump assassination. Remember the last episode?
Oh, yeah,
They had to put that warning.
Yeah,
It's like,
I
hey,
remember.
guys, this is not a coincidence. We have nothing
Yeah.
to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That was actually kind of crazy. But anyway, okay, so that's what they're doing.
and then eventually the shapeshifter gets away because the person shapeshifted to somebody else.
Yes.
And they get lost in the crowd and shit. After that, we see Homelander kill Webweaver because he thought he was the leak, the person that leaked the info
and he's
to
out
the boys.
here shitting, or like, not shitting, but like he's out. I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know
Yeah,
how to say
bro.
that.
The webs.
Shooting webs out of his fucking hole. Like,
Yeah.
His web hole.
His web hole, yeah,
Jesus
bro. That
Christ,
shit was
bro.
fucking.
That shit was stupid.
That shit was crazy.
But him killing
Hell
him was
nah.
crazy, bro. That was some Mortal Kombat shit.
He just rips him in half.
Yeah,
that was
bro.
pretty cool.
And then after that, we see Huey go to Newman's house, and they try to have this talk, right? Where he's like, listen, you can still back out of this. You don't have to go through with it, blah,
Oh,
blah, blah,
yes,
this and
yes.
that.
Was any of
And-
it real?
You know what I mean? And then he's like the one where he basically says, like, you're really okay with this? Like, internment camps and, like, imprisoning everybody? And she has
Genocide.
this look on her face. He's like, you didn't know? It's like, Homelander plans on imprisoning the people and shit so that no one could stop him. And that's when she's starting to, like, have doubts and shit like that. And then she eventually has that, like, phone call, or I forget if that's in the next episode, where she has a phone call with Homelander, and then Homelander, like, goes off on her and threatens her daughter and everything like that.
Is that next episode, Mario?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Here, let me
either.
read ahead. Homelander sends the Deep and Black Noir 2 to kill the boys. That's that whole fight at the Flatiron building.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that fight?
I thought it was pretty cool. And one thing I've realized because of that fight is, like, we don't really get a bunch of action sequences in The Boys like that.
Probably just because it's like it being live action.
Yeah.
It goes into a lot, special effects, budget, all that shit, bro.
for sure.
Because if you like watch something like Invincible, where it's animated and imagination runs wild with animation, you can do anything you want. You'd be seeing a lot of shit go down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I love it.
No, it's fire, but it's like you can't really do that with live action unless you got the budget for it. And for the boys,
true.
bro, like what the fuck? They're not Disney.
That's facts.
They only work with so much. That's why Homelander, being OP as he is, doesn't really do a lot of action or flying or a lot of visual effects shit like him ripping Webweaver in half. It's like something you don't see often because that was practical.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to like make that, and that costs the studio money. It costs Amazon money and shit.
Yeah, but it's Amazon, man. They rich as fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's not how that works.
Nah, bro.
It's not just like, hey man, we need another $3 million to make this scene go hard. It's like, hey, you have a budget. We gave you the money. Like, what'd you do with it? That's how they are, bro. That's how. But that's just how companies are when
Yeah.
when they're doing it, when they're the production for a film. Like, they just give you a certain amount of money, and it's very rare if they ever give you more if you ask for it.
Yeah, it's true.
So it is what it is, bro. But the fight breaks out and they end up winning. And then we see that Homelander.
Oh yeah, because they end up winning because A-Train pulls up
Yeah.
and helps them, saves them.
He comes in and like fights them both. Real quick, because I know we kind of like sped over the character. What do you guys think of the new Black Noir? Just real quick.
I
Don't
don't
give a fuck.
really care.
Yeah, me neither. I think he was more interesting when it was OG Black Noir who wouldn't talk and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This dude just talks all the time, and he's like,
Yeah,
"Hey,"
he's.
and they keep telling him like, "Shut
the
up,
fuck
bro.
up,
You're not
yeah.
supposed to talk. That's your thing." And he has his mask off in one episode. He's like, "I'm sick of this shit, man. I fucked the."
Yeah,
seven."
I just thought OG Noir was more interesting, and I still think they did him dirty. But yeah, this Noir I really don't care. It's just whatever. It's just like another side character for me.
Yeah,
Doesn't really add much value.
I agree. I wasn't a huge fan of the new Black Noir.
It's just there for replacement, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so A-Train ends up saving them, and then he
Oh yeah. Then Homelander ends up firing Sage
Sage.
from the 7 for hiding A-Train.
Because she knew that A-Train was the real leak.
Yes.
And Homelander gets pissed, so he fires her. Which, in my opinion, I'm like, that's not very Homelander of you. You would probably kill her. Because if you killed Webweaver thinking he was the leak, wouldn't you kill the person who hid the real leak person from you?
Yeah.
But I guess it's because, you know, plot armor, right? Like, she comes back in the last episode and, you know what I mean? Like, has that purpose, like that scene with Homelander. So I get it. But it's just one of those things where it's like, Homelander would have killed her, bro.
That's facts.
What the fuck you talking
That's
about?
facts.
So she just kind of like lets her walk out. And
Yeah.
It's like, get out of here before I fuck you up. Like, give you a chance to leave.
That's true. He
I'm
would.
like,
He would have killed
nah,
her.
bro.
But plot armor, man. It's plot armor. And so then we get the scene where like they make Ryan do this like puppet show
Yeah.
thing to like what? Like to rat out, I guess. Like to brainwash children
Yeah.
to like rat out their parents if they're what? If they're
Against VOD and shit.
yeah, or some
If
bullshit.
they're supporting Starlight and shit like that.
And so he's like fed up with it. He ends up interrupting the live show and he gives a speech basically saying, "No, this isn't right. This is not what my mom would have wanted, blah blah blah." And at the same time, Butcher's at this bar
Watching the show.
watching the show,
With
smiling
Kessler.
with Kessler, and smiling and shit, and basically giving him hope. Like, you know what? Look, there's still hope for Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Then he eventually passes the fuck out
Oh
in
yeah,
the bar.
he
We don't know
does.
what happens to him.
And then
Then from there we see Frenchie and Kamiko. They're together because Frenchie and Kamiko are overlooking Samir and trying to extract the virus out and shit like that.
Oh, did we
and-
pass this scene where like Samir ends up escaping? Is it here?
No, this is the one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's right
Yep.
here. There's the one because he eventually gets the dose, the virus out of the lamb or the sheep or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh shit, does it work?" I was like, "Oh look, he got the virus out." And then he injects it on Kamiko,
Yeah.
and that's when he goes and makes a run for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then it's like, you know,
Or a
Pat-
hop for it.
Yeah, that's facts. I forgot about that.
He's missing a whole leg.
I forgot
He
about
made a
that.
hop for it.
And Frenchie freaking the fuck out. He's like, "Oh shit, what the fuck?" And so he grabs
It's
a
spreading
saw.
pretty fast.
And, yeah, and you see that it's kind of working.
Uh-huh.
So he grabs a saw and he cuts her leg off.
Yeah, dude. That was
I was
crazy.
just like, "Oh shit!" And luckily, she doesn't die.
Yeah.
And then now everyone's like surrounding around the leg, and they're like, "Do you think you're able to take the virus out of this?
Out of the
Frenchie?"
leg and make it
And-
again.
yeah, and like put it into like, it's like, what do we do with it? Like, well, maybe we should put it into a bullet and like we'll go and shoot Homeland. Or no, like they said they're gonna use it on Newman or some shit, I think.
I think so, yeah.
And they're like, okay, Ben, it's, you know, Frenchie's like, I can do it all. So yeah, just give me a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts to work on that. And then we go to a scene where Huey and Starlight are back at home, and Starlight has the Starlight costume on.
Oh, yes, bro. Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
that? And so she comes out. Hey, listen, man, I'm not even ashamed to admit it.
What?
When she was like, let's be real, and she takes her off her panties, she's like, how long have you actually fantasized about doing this?
Damn.
And so they start having sex while she has the Starlight outfit on, and
Uh-huh.
I'm just like, damn, she got my ass. I fantasized about
Hey,
it.
yo! Fuck it up.
no.
Hey,
But no,
man,
dude, this
that's
is
funny.
crazy because they have sex,
Yeah.
and then afterwards, Huey's sleeping there, and then Annie gets out of bed all naked and shit, and she opens this safe that has these files inside, and then you find out that like,
It's all the files against Newman.
yeah, and then like I forget, like I think her eyes do something, doesn't it? Like something like that. Like you
think
find
so.
out that she's not real, and you're like, oh shit! You find out she's the shapeshifter.
Yeah,
from
'cause-
earlier.
Yeah, because then Annie ends up waking up in
In
a
a
room,
fucking room.
shackled somewhere, realizing that she's been impersonated, and that's how the episode ends. And I'm like, oh, hey, fucking Huey out here fucking a random ass person.
That's
bro.
crazy, bro.
That's
I will say
fucking
this episode
insane.
I did feel like was a good pickup from
Yeah.
like the
Yep.
last few. This is where I was kind of like, okay, so it's going in a good direction. But now, oh man, there's one episode left, man. How's this episode gonna end? Is it gonna go well? Is this show gonna be mid as fuck? Like, because like this show, man, has had its ups and downs. For
Mhm.
me, it's mostly kind of been downs.
Yeah.
So in this last episode, I'm like, fuck, bro, they're gonna go through with it well. Is it like what's gonna happen? And this is actually the episode.
This is the last. Yeah, we're on
This
the
is
last
the episode that actually has that warning in the beginning that they don't condone political violence because
it
of the
was
whole
this one.
thing. It was
Yeah,
this
it was this
one.
one. It was this
Oh,
one.
okay.
It was this one. This is the one that had that opening message.
It's
I
the
was
whole
like,
Trump assassination shit that happened.
yeah, bro. That shit was
crazy.
It was, bro.
That shit was crazy. But yeah, so like they had to put this out because they're like, we don't support political violence because of the circumstances that happened and shit. So they had to put out like some warning, some discretion. But
So we open up the episode with Butcher at a hospital. We find out that his condition is just worsening, bro. Like he only has like hours, days left to live, and you can see his face is kind of like aged more. Like you see more gray hairs
for
in his
sure.
face
Yeah,
and
he
shit
looks
like that. And he
fucked,
looks
man.
like destroyed. Then Mallory shows up and Ryan, and they both come and visit him. And there's yet again another plan of trying to take Ryan away from Homelander. But then when they realize that like the plan didn't really go according to plan, Mallory instead tells Ryan like, "Hey, your dad is not who you think he is. Like he's actually a terrible person, and like he's done all these things and blah 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 and this and that, and he's not believing what he's hearing."
yeah,
And he's like, "Wait, why am I here? Why'd you bring me here?" And it's like, "Well, it's because you're the only one strong enough to stop him." And he gets the implication like,
No way.
You want me to kill my dad?"
no way.
And he doesn't fuck with that, so he was like, "I want to leave. I want to get out." And Mallory doesn't let him because he's like, "No, you're our last chance." And W. Butcher, because like his whole thing is like honoring Becca and making sure that Ryan is safe. And he's like, "You know what, Mallory? Grace, let him go." She's like, "What the fuck are you talking about, Butcher?" And he's like, "You know what? If he feels safer at Vought Tower, then I'd rather he leave." And I'm like, "Damn, W. Butcher, right? He's trying to honor his wife." And she's like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm sorry, I can't let that happen." And I think she pulls out a gun on him or some shit, right? Or a taser or something. And then Ryan loses it and pushes her.
No. So what it is no, she doesn't pull out a gun. She's like outside of the room. She runs
like
outside of the
burning the closet
room,
or
right
some
outside, and like outside of the room, there's a button that's gonna pour gas.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna pour gas. That's like gonna make them sleep.
Yes.
And then she basically says like, "Hey Ryan, if you leave or whatever, we could all go sleep right now," type shit, or something. And then that's when he gets upset and like moving, like pushes her before she gets a chance to press the button, and she gets
That's when she pushes her.
yeah,
That when
and,
he pushes
yeah,
her.
and then she gets pushed against the wall, and she's under. She's a rap star.
Yeah,
she
she
died.
died.
And I'm like, damn.
What'd you guys think of Mallory dying like that? Her being killed.
I mean,
I was not expecting her to die that way.
Sure.
I thought it was kind of like, I don't know, man. It's just like, damn, that's how she dies. Especially because like, and then Ryan not really caring. Like he just looks over her and like he just walks away, and it's like, but he would call her aunt, you know? Like
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't know, man.
For me, I just thought like she would have more screen time. I mean, she didn't really
Yeah.
have any in this season, and then I thought she would play a bigger part maybe in season 5, but I guess that's not the case.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about her dying. I don't think I like it very much. It's just kind of like, damn, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I'm like, damn, that's how she goes out after all this time, you know. And I guess what bugged me too is like Ryan not caring.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ryan didn't really care. Like he was like, just
Inconsistent.
looked at her
Yeah,
and he
bro.
just walked
Inconsistent-
away.
Inconsistent writing, bro.
You know, like he wasn't sorry for it. It's like, oh my god, I did not mean to do that. You know, but it was just like, all right, well, I'm out. And then Butcher's just there standing like, oh fuck.
And then he sees Kessler,
Mm-hmm.
and he has this look on his face like, you know what we gotta do. Your plan didn't work, now we got... Because the whole time Kessler's like, you're making a fucking mistake, bro. Ryan could kill Homelander, blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't want to listen to him. After seeing that doing it the nice way didn't work, now he embraces Kessler's words and like his evil side, and he's
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm gonna have to do this the
hard
dirty way.
Yeah, the
like,
dirty way.
the way that it's going to be fucked up, but it's the only way. So
And so after this, man, this is kind of crazy. Homelander ends up, he rounds up the 7, and they basically come to the conclusion that, hey, man, we got to kill everyone at Vought who has evidence against us, and that's
incriminating evidence.
Incriminating evidence, yeah. And so now the 7 is going on a killing spree in the Vought Tower.
That was
bro.
crazy. I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
cleaning house, boy.
They're cleaning fucking house, bro. Like, they're killing everybody, and I remember, I think it was Deep was like, wait, if we're gonna do this, like, shouldn't we start off with Ashley or something? Because she has the most. And then Home knows, oh yeah, good shit, Deep. And like Deep feels all good. He's like, all right. He writes down Ashley. How do you spell Ashley's last name?
It's never said.
Yeah, it's like,
that
why
was
does
funny.
that matter? I thought it was kind of funny with him.
Because they never said it, so no one knows her last name. That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
they kind of stumped. They're like, "Fuck, what's her last name? I don't know." So we always call her Ashley. And then
That's true.
Ashley, knowing what the fuck is happening, is running, and
This
she
is
goes
crazy.
to Homelander's room, pulls out a vial of Compound V,
And injects
and she
herself.
injects herself with it. Now, part of me is a little disappointed that we didn't actually see what happened next, because spoiler alert. We see her inject herself with the Compound V, and her head starts to like grow and morph and shit. And this is the last time we see of her. We don't see what power she got. We don't see what happens to her or whatever the fuck. I'm assuming season 5 is when we'll see
true.
that. But I was a part of me was trying to wonder like, what powers would she get? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Type
we're
shit.
definitely gonna see that at season 5. And then, oh yeah, Frenchie ends up finally developing the virus. Right, the boys end up they end up taking Singer into like this bunker area, and this is the part where they discover that Annie is the shapeshifter.
Huey figures it out because he realizes that she started acting strange, and he's like, "This is not Annie. This is somebody else."
It's because he finds out because the shapeshifter says like, "Oh, it's like hot as an oven or something like that. It's hot as an oven in here or something." And she said that before when they first encountered her. And then he's like, wait a second, this is not Annie. And that's how he tries notifying MM and shit. And he's like, MM, don't look that way. Don't look straight, motherfucker. Don't listen. I think Annie's shapeshifter. Like, what? No fucking way. And then they have a dialogue where like Annie goes in front of them. He's like, yo, what's going on? And they start acting weird, and she catches on. And that's where shit goes down, bro. She catches on that she got figured out, and pushes MM and Huey and starts killing the guards in there. And they try getting the president outside, and they open this huge door. They put it in code, and it starts opening super slow. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, what the fuck? Because that is kind of true, man. Why do you? But then again, I guess it makes sense that they open super slow because they're like fucking thick ass.
Steel doors and shit.
Yeah,
like
thick
that.
ass steel doors and shit. So yeah, we find that out.
And then the real Annie shows up.
Oh yes.
And then there's this whole fight between her and the shapeshifter, and she gets the upper hand, and eventually she snaps her neck and wins.
Yes, I remember that. Oh, also here. Oh yeah, remember when at the same time Homelander is with Newman on air alive, and Homelander reveals that Newman's a fucking soup. Damn,
That was crazy.
Let's tell people the truth. She is a superhero. At first she's like, "Oh, that's very kind of you to say, but like, you're the real superhero."
Yeah.
And then that's when he lasers her,
Yeah.
and nothing happens to her, and pretty much just exposes her to the world.
Damn, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
that was pretty crazy too.
And
But-
then when she saw that, and then that whole thing where she has that phone call with Homelander, and he's like, "You're gonna do exactly as I say, or I'm gonna kill you and your daughter," blah blah blah. Like that's what she realizes. Like,
Yeah.
I'm fucking partnered with a monster. And so she eventually calls up Huey and says, "I need your help. I'm gonna take your offer on it. I don't want to do this anymore. We need to stop Homelander." And at first Huey's like a little suspicious about it, but he eventually goes through with it. Him being, nice guy Huey. And so he tells the rest of the boys, and they're kind of like about it, but they're like, you know what? If she can really promise that she'll help us take down Homelander, we'll do whatever it
Yeah,
takes.
and in exchange is to protect Zoe. Like she just wants to protect Zoe from Homelander and shit like that. And so yeah, they finally get to that area where I guess they're at, where the boys are at, and this is the part where Newman arrives and everything, and Butcher arrives.
Fuck, bro.
And without like hesitation, bro, Butcher arrives
And he's like, "No, we're not doing a deal."
and
And
like
Huey's like, "No, listen, like, hear me out.
hear me
man.
out."
This could
Yeah.
help. She's gonna help us take down Homelander." And he doesn't give a fuck. He just like grabs Huey by the shoulder, like his shirt just pushes him away, and then
we see
we see
power.
his new superpower,
Yeah.
which is like these like
Black, like,
monstrous
tentacles.
monstrous tentacles that come out of his chest, bro. And it's like pushing everyone out the way, bro. And it's like grabbing people and pulling everyone around. And then two of the tentacles finally wrap around Newman, and he has her in the air, and Mortal Kombat style just fucking rips her in half and
That's
kills
crazy,
her, bro.
bro.
Dude, when I saw that, I was like, no.
I was pissed because I'm like, dog, like Butcher, bro. If you just listen for a bit, you would have, like, just listen to Huey, see what he had to say, man. You'd know that she's on our side. But hey, he don't give a fuck, man. He's tired of it. He's like, nah, man.
Yeah,
fuck
man.
this shit.
And he's like, I'll be taking that gun now. And then Frenchie points it at him, and he's like, nah, man. You know you don't want to do that. And he takes the gun and the virus with him. And then he goes, oh, and by the way. And he does the side face
He
shit.
does the side
You're
face.
all fucking welcome. And then he just walks off.
Hell no.
And we're all just like, what the fuck did Butcher just do? Okay, quick question, right? I want to ask you guys this. So we see the vein in his forehead wasn't an actual, like, moving vein, or wasn't like a parasite. Like, that was like a nod to, like, the tentacles that he has as a superpower. Because we find out that him dying caused him to inject some compound V in his system, in hopes that it would cure his tumor, but it doesn't. And so we find out that the superpower that Compound V gave him were those tentacles. Here's where I'm a little confused, because why is it that Compound V gave him tentacles as a superpower, but when he took Temp V, he was a Homelander variant?
That's a good question.
A part of me was confused because I'm like, if he took the permanent shit, wouldn't he technically have the powers he had when it was Temp V?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, why does he have a different superpower?
That's true.
Because the thing is, you don't get to choose your powers when you inject yourself with the temp with the V. The superpower just kind of comes to you. You don't get to choose what it is, and it's almost like, well, how do you determine that? Like, does the V just mix in with your DNA and like sparks a mutation on some X-Men shit and like gives you a power? In which case, doesn't the Temp V giving him super strength and eye lasers and shit and something like an invincibility, like superpowers that make him rival Homelander, able to like put up a fight with him, as we saw in season 3? Then shouldn't that be his permanent powers when he takes the permanent V? A part of me was a bit confused because I'm like, why is he has a superpower? Why is his superpowers different when he takes the permanent stuff? So I want to ask you guys, what did you guys think of his superpower being different than when he took the Temp V?
No, yeah, that is a good question. I don't think there's an answer for it, dude. Because that is weird that it changed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know.
And my thing is, like, with him having the tentacle powers, because the Temp V gave him invisibility. I mean, he was putting up a fight with Homelander.
He was like a mix of like Homelander and like Soldier Boy a little bit.
Exactly.
But not as powerful as him, I don't think.
Right. And so now he has these tentacles things, and it's
And,
like,
why'd it
okay.
change?
But you remember in season 3 when it's like,
I remember, dude.
remember when it's like, scorched earth, like basically saying that him and Homelander would have a fight to the death, even if it meant the decimation of the world. It's like, no, scorched earth. My thing is, with his power now being these tentacle things, can he really scorch earth with Homelander? Like, will this
Probably
power
not.
be able to rival that of Homelander's?
That's one thing I did like about that. Like, I like that Butcher was strong like Soldier Boy and Homelander, and he had shot those laser eyes, but it was yellow. I thought that was fucking fire. And like, imagine if he flew.
He probably could have. We just didn't see that.
Yeah, I don't know how. I'm gonna be honest with you. I do not know why.
And a part of me was like, okay, the tentacles like were crazy and everything,
I
but
prefer the other
I would have
shit, though.
preferred if his powers were what we saw in season 3, but only now it's permanent.
Well, do you think? Because when he had those powers, he took Temp V. Right?
Yes,
So could it be that Temp V and like the actual real shit just gives you different powers?
that's the
only explanation.
That's the only explanation. But the thing is, the show never touched on that.
Yeah, we don't know.
And
why.
you two are the ones that saw Gen V, and I'm assuming Gen V never touched on that either.
Gen V was just strictly like there was no main characters from the boys.
But they don't mention anything about Temp V or the Compound V or nothing like that. Nothing about how like how the different V's give you different powers.
Nope.
See, so like any lore from the boys and the TV shows, both the OG and the spinoff, says nothing about this. So part of me was like, did the writers just not want to give him those powers back? And they just wanted to make up some other different shit like the tentacles? Like, why though?
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand. I do like the idea that the tentacles are also another impersonation. It's another embodiment of Kessler. Because Kessler tells him, like, that's why I killed Ezekiel for you. Because you get the implication that he killed the preacher dude with the tentacles. And Kessler was like, that's why I killed Ezekiel for you. So like, oh shit, the tentacles are like another embodiment of his hatred and shit like that, or whatever the fuck. But a part of me was like, because that whole thing in season 3, bro, he's like scorched earth. We'll have a fight to the death, scorched earth, and whatever the fuck, right? And it's like, I feel like him having those powers is cool because it even further doubles down on the message of how Butcher screwing over his friends and doing whatever it takes for him to kill Homelander. He kind of becomes another Homelander himself. Down to the, oh shit, he's got the same powers.
If that's the case, then the whole like Ryan story arc doesn't really matter, because like the story arc with Ryan is like, oh, he's the one that's able to fight Homelander and like able to kill him. But if Butcher has those powers, then there's really no point for Ryan, because like, Butcher can do it himself.
I agree. That's why I was confused, because I'm like, dude, they're not showing us his powers purposely.
Yeah,
we know he took the V, but like for some reason they're hiding his powers, and we're almost getting to the end of the show. What are they going to show us? And they show us in the last episode. And sure, the scene was shocking. Oh shit, he killed Newman. But I was like, wait a minute, why is this his power? Wasn't his Homelander powers? So I don't know. Me personally, I think they should have kept the powers that he had in season 3. Only now it's permanent instead of the temp V shit. What do you think, Mario?
I don't know, man. I just think they're both, the temp V and the whatever the fuck the permanent one's called, they both work differently. They just never talk about it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they don't give an explanation. It's so weird. But do you prefer the tentacles, bro, or do you prefer like him having the Homelander powers? Butcher.
I mean, I think tentacles is pretty weak. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd rather him have the shit from season 3.
Yeah, I'd rather have this. I'd rather have the Homelander shit. It's definitely cooler.
Because imagine him with the tentacles fighting Homelander. Like, nah, bro.
I'm telling you, like, Homelander can just use his eye lasers and cut those bitches off.
Yeah.
Whereas before, couldn't Butcher like just fly to him and like they could just like? Can you imagine in season 5, like there's a fight between Butcher and Homelander. They both have the same powers, and they're fighting in the White House.
That'd be cool.
Because the whole thing is like them trying to take over the government, right? They're trying to take over the White House and everything, right? So like imagine like the last fight was at the White House and they're like flying through walls and shit and whatever the fuck. But my thing is, now Butcher has these tentacle powers, but does he still have invincibility? Because if not, a simple laser to the face and Butcher's done for.
That's true.
So what the fuck? And it sucks because season 3 set up that they were going to have a fight. And they were like scorched earth or whatever the fuck. And they were going to have a fight to the death, and only one person would survive. And that they were going to fight to the death no matter what. That's why they're like, hey man, if we go about it, we could end up killing the world. Like, you know, like on some Invincible shit, Mario. Like the whole shit in like season 1, like how they were like causing destruction in the cities and the buildings and all this other shit because they were fighting. That's what they were talking about. But now you give them tentacle powers and it's like, well, we're not gonna have that epic fight that they promised us in season 3. Especially then now that they confirmed that season 5 will be the final season. And it's like, well, now we're getting close to the story of the boys.
I was kind of like thinking that Ryan was gonna be older and like have a realization that his dad's a piece of shit and like he ends up fighting him. But I think right now Ryan is he's just too young.
What if it's like a time skip?
But that's the thing, like, how much of a time skip for season 5?
Because given how the show ends,
and is that really necessary? Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, bro. I have no idea how. But actually, let's wrap it up here. Actually, then, because we're at the, because so he ends up killing Newman. Speaker of the House, Stephen Cohen, I have no idea, becomes the new president of the United States, swears allegiance to Homelander, and declares martial law, deputizing Homelander and his army of superhumans.
What's martial law again?
Basically, when the president calls the shots and he gets no pushback on, he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Oh shit!
Yeah. And the rest of the boys are ambushed and captured by Vulture. And like this is the part where it's like a aha moment with Sister Sage, because like Homelander's like, oh my god, everything's fucked. Like, no way.
Newman's dead.
Newman's dead. What are we doing? And then Sister Sage pulls up like, hey man, what's up? He's like, what do you mean what's up, bitch? Whole plan's the shit. Newman's dead, ho. What you mean, girl? This is part of the plan. Homelander's like, fuck you mean? Yeah, this is part of the plan. If you would have listened to me, this is our coordinating plan. Look, I have the president right here on the phone call, ready to pledge allegiance to you." He's like, "No fucking way." And that's like that's the aha moment with Sister Sage is like, all of this was according to plan, on some Batman shit, you know. And that was pretty cool, I guess. That was cool. And then Homelander's like, oh shit, he got the martial law now. The president, he says that everybody has to report to Homelander now and shit. And obviously I heard that this is part of the comics as well, where the comics like takes over. Where Homelander takes over the government or something.
Well, in the comics, it's not that he takes over; it's that he wants to go and assassinate the president. So they're going in a different direction.
Shit.
Here, they're supporting it. Dude, tell me why? Am I alone on this one? When Newman died, and it's like, shit, the plan went to shit. Because Newman was supposed to take over as president.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, the plan went to shit. Did anybody else wonder, like, oh no, Homelander's going to elect himself president? And no one's going to give him pushback because he's a literal god.
Low key. I mean, I didn't think of that.
I didn't think that.
But I could see that happening.
I was like, oh shit, don't tell me Homelander's going to be like, you know what, it's all good.
I'm electing a president.
Yeah,
That'd be
like
crazy.
I'll
do my own thing.
I'll fill in Newman's place.
Actually, no, I wasn't thinking that.
She was a friend of mine, and I'm gonna serve her memory right by taking over as president. I thought that's what they were going with.
I thought he was gonna crash out and like force himself to be president. Like crash out as in like, no, fuck this. I'm now the president.
Exactly.
Of the United States.
No, yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like actually going through an election.
No, like actually
Taking
forcing
over.
himself, rather than what is it? Stephen Colquhoun as the new president. I thought he would have just like Homelander would have just elected himself and taken over. In which case, I'd have been like, "Fuck, bro." Now he's actually going to like start those internment camps and everything that he wanted. It's now according to plan because he's now going to be calling the shots and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Then yes. I thought.
And
that
then would
was
it make
gonna
more
happen.
sense? Wouldn't it make more sense if he elected himself president? That's why he has those soups.
Yeah.
Those troops like working for him and like rounding up the boys and everything because they're all work for Homelander and Homelander's a soup and it just would have made more sense. So I was confused. I'm like, okay, who knows? Maybe in season 5.
Yeah.
But I thought that's where they were gonna go with. And now that Newman was out of the picture, oh shit.
My phone.
Oh, he lost his phone forever now.
No, we're
I
good.
just thought like with Newman out of the picture that Homelander was going to take her spot.
Oh yeah, I thought so too. Okay, yeah, I thought so too. And so yeah, the whole martial law is in place. The boys find out through the news, like, holy shit, we got to get the fuck out of here. They're given passports. They're all go their
On the
separate
run.
ways. They're on the run, going separate ways. But they are later ambushed by other Vought troops, and they end up catching Huey, and Annie manages to escape. I thought that was cool the way she escaped.
Yeah,
she flies now.
She finally learns how to fly.
So she ends up flying away. That was pretty cool. And
And then we see Kimiko talk for the first time.
Yeah.
oh, dude, yes,
That scene
because
was fire.
they capture Frenchie, and
they
she.
like do some Kilgrave shit.
Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, I remember this now. So they capture Frenchie, and the way they capture her is this blonde girl grabs her and like whispers, "She's from Gen V."
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's from Gen V. If you watch Gen V, you know who she is and her power. I mean, well, want me to tell you what her power is?
Yeah, sure.
It's not like so. Her power is like she can grab. She literally would
Touch you?
and say whatever you want, and you will do it.
So like I was right then. Kilgrave from Jessica Jones.
Oh, that's what you said. Oh, yes. She just grabs you and be like, do this bullshit, and then you do that bullshit.
That's true.
He got really close to you. I got scared.
No, man.
That was funny as fuck.
Oh shit, bro.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah, you know
she
what,
does-
man? She kind of bad.
Hey, yo.
She didn't even have to touch me. I'll just do it.
No, yeah.
What's up, Kill Kimiko? Bet. Like,
Nah, you true.
Nah,
No, but yeah, that's her power, bro. And like her backstory, I
Gotcha.
won't tell you her backstory, but it's kind of sad. It's kind of fucked up.
damn.
Of like whatever. But
And then
you
we
gotta watch
see
it.
that other girl from season 2. She's back. The 11 looking chick,
The 11.
the bald chick, the one who was in that prison, that like
Oh,
hospital
yes,
shit.
yes,
Remember
yes.
she like just kind of disappeared.
Wasn't she like Magneto or something?
Some shit, bro. She
What?
was something, bro.
Like Magneto.
She just
type
kept like
shit?
she was able to like control shit with her hands or whatever the fuck. Not necessarily metal like Magneto, but she was able to control anything with her hands and her
Okay.
mind. And she just kind of disappeared, like
Yeah.
fucked off in season 2. And this is the first time, at least, that I've seen her back, unless she's in Gen V.
No, that's true. No, well, want me to say or no? Want me to tell you? No, she's not.
Okay.
But no, that blonde chick that took Frenchie is in Gen V.
Gotcha.
And and some other guy. Was that a guy grabbing Kamiko? Like it was some other guy that had like curly hair. He was.
I
Also,
don't remember
He was
who.
also in Gen V, but yeah, Kamiko says his first word or whatever. She just says no.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. I was like, oh shit, she's
damn.
talking now.
That was
And then we
crazy
see,
as fuck.
God damn it, bro, the fucking beef continues. We see get captured by Love Sausage.
That was crazy. Yeah.
That's funny.
Can't catch a
That's
break.
crazy, bro. That
Oh
motherfucker
my
just
God.
gets-
guy. Yeah, dude.
And then as we see everyone getting captured, the final shot is of Butcher
Except for Butcher drives off. Yeah, with
in
the
a
virus.
car, and it's like a fucking fire shot of him looking in the rearview mirror, and Kessler's there just smiling.
Yeah.
And he's got the rifle on the hood and shit, and he's just driving on his way to the White House to go and kill Homelander. And I was just like, oh shit, and that's where it ends.
That's how it ends. And then there's a mid-credit scene where the president shows Homelander where Soldier Boy is being held captive.
And you know, San Diego Comic-Con happened last weekend, and the boys had their own little panel. They confirmed that season 5, Soldier Boy is going to come back as a main character in the show.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So he's going to play a part in season 5 now.
I heard there's gonna be like the spin-off.
You saw that?
Yeah, with
Vought Rising,
Vought Rising with him and
Stormfront. Or who at the time was Liberty, right?
Liberty.
But that takes place in the 50s.
Yeah.
And the thing is, bro, like I liked Soldier Boy as a character, so like him having his own show is like kind of like fire. I kind of want to like check that out and see what's up.
Yeah.
They also confirmed that the next season of the show we're gonna get is season 2 of Gen V, which will be next year, which means we won't even get The Boys season 5 until 2026.
Damn.
Imagine, bro, we're getting
gonna be
season
crazy.
5 of The Boys, Hector, the same year as Doomsday.
That's crazy. As
Think
fuck.
about that. The next Avengers movie. That's wild.
I don't want to think about it, man.
What the fuck?
I just don't like
Fucking
this, man.
act-
I just
Fuck
don't
that.
like aging and waiting for these projects.
I know,
What
bro.
the fuck?
Hey, we
But-
remember we waited and aged for Deadpool and Wolverine, but we finally here.
That's
We
facts.
finally saw it.
When was that announced? I can't remember.
Years ago, bro.
Deadass?
Yeah,
I can't
bro.
remember, bro.
Like 2022
Deadass?
Really?
is when they
Fuck.
announced that they were gonna make a movie with Wolverine coming back.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, dude.
That's insane.
But yeah, man, that was
But-
season 4 of The Boys.
Season 4 of The Boys, yeah. I mean, let's give our...
Final thoughts and ratings. Who wants to go first?
I went first in the Bears, so someone else go first?
I'll go first. Let me just be real quick
go
about
ahead.
it. So after breaking down all the episodes, guys, I mean, I pretty much vocalized my my likes and dislikes with the show, and unfortunately, I don't know where shit went wrong, man, but this season, I think so far has been the weakest season of The Boys. Has a lot of inconsistent writing, has a lot of character development that I felt was weird. A lot of memorable moments, but I truly believe that the show peaked in season 3, man. 3 was the best season, in my opinion. Soldier Boy, the story that was being told, Homelander was the most menacing in that season. I think he was more menacing than he was in this season, bro. In this season, he was just kind of, I get it, I get why, but he was like Sage's bitch for most of the time, because Sage was the one calling the shots and everything. So for me, man, I just wasn't a fan of some of the shock factor that they were doing with the soup. Some of the writing was a little off. Some of the character development I didn't really buy. And it sucks, man, because for a show that I thought was a breath of fresh air when it first came out and I was binging it, oh my god, this show's fire, blah blah blah, that it like totally switched up on me in this season. And it's just like, yeah, it's ended strongly. I mean, I think episode 7 and 8 was a strong ending. But I can't ignore how I felt in the beginning, in the middle of the season, bro.
Yeah,
and it
that's
sucks
true.
when then you're watching a show week to week. You're just left that, like, you watch the new episode and then you wait a whole another week for the next one. And that whole week you're just like, you think about the episode, you think about the show, and you're like, this show is just not hitting. And it sucks, man. It's unfortunate. Real quick, I just want to give this real quick. Because I know we've never reviewed it. So just real quick, I'm going to go through it really fast. Season 1 of The Boys, I would probably give that a 9 out of 10. Season 1. Season 2 of The Boys I felt like was not as good as 1, but it was still pretty good, so I give it like an 8.
Okay.
Season 3 I feel was like The Boys at its peak, and I give that a perfect 10 out of 10. I would give season 3 a 10. Season 4, however, has been the weakest season for the reasons that I just named, and unfortunately, bro, I've been struggling with this because I'm like, it's between two different ratings. I don't know where to put it at, but you know, I think after thinking about it, I think I'm gonna have to give season 4 a 6.
Damn. A 6?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I was debating between a 6 or a 7, but a
Yeah.
7 calls the season good.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like good. 6 is like okay. And
Yeah.
really, I felt like there were more flaws in the show than there were positives, so I have to rank it in that okay manner. That's
Yeah.
kind of like how I see it, though. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to persuade y'all ratings, but that's kind of like how I see it. And it's not necessarily mid, because there was a lot of other cool shit. Like,
Well, it's
dude,
not
Jeffrey
mid.
Dean Morgan
Mediocre
as
is
Kessler
5.
was fire.
Yeah.
Like, the character, like, Homelander is still a good actor. Like,
Yep.
everything, there's a bunch of shit that went, like, the last 2 episodes of the season were fire. So I can't call it mid, but it also wasn't as good as season 2. And season
Yeah.
2 was of late was, like, the lowest rating that I would give The Boys. An
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
And it's nowhere near season 2 level. I think it was worse than that. So I have to give it to me, it just, season 4 to me was a 6.
Wow.
That was just me. Mario?
Damn. Yeah, Mario. What do you think?
For me, man,
see that,
for this season specifically, I agree with Hav where this season it definitely is the weakest out of the 4. I
Such a
feel like
shame,
like for every character, specifically Huey, I feel like a lot of people just regressed, and that's something that really annoyed me. I also feel like the shock factor in this show was just, I feel like they tried carrying it, like that they tried making the shock value in this show carry the story a lot, and I'm just like, that's not really why people love The Boys. Like, don't get me wrong, we loved it in the previous seasons, but that's because there's a story to be told and narrative that was enjoyable that people were gripped by. But unfortunately, this one just relied too much on it. And on top of that, I just think there were a lot of ups and downs, and Javi's rating really shocked me because I thought I was going to be the only one that gave this bitch a 6 out of 10.
Damn. We're
Because-
2 for 2.
Yeah, I think it's okay, bro. Like, I can't call it good just because, like, there's too many negatives, but there's also a couple
That's true,
goods.
man.
That's
And
what
by
I'm saying.
definition, that means it's okay. Like, there's ups and downs.
Like, and do you agree with me when I'm like, it's not necessarily mid, because there were some good things about the season.
I know.
Even
That's
though
why I
it was
gave it
very
a 6. I
little.
think it's okay.
So it's like that thing like you break in the middle. So I feel like 6 would make the most sense.
That's true.
Okay, so that's okay. So I'm glad that I wasn't the only one.
No,
All right,
you guys-
bet.
no,
So
you guys
6
are
and
right.
6.
You guys are
Me and
right.
Mario. What do you think, Hector?
I think I'm gonna go with a 6 too, because you guys are right. There is some good. Originally, I was gonna give this bitch a 5.
Wow.
I just thought it was like I just thought it was kind of mediocre. Like, okay, like cool, because it's just what bugged me was the characters like development in this mostly, and like the whole writing shit, the whole Frenchie situation. Like, it just bugged me, man.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know. Like, it's not bad. I don't think it's bad or anything.
It's just
but
there
no,
wasn't
but
consistent.
yeah, but there are some good moments here, and I do definitely enjoy them. And I think a 6, man. I'm agree with you guys.
The only thing we can hope for is that they pick their shit up, bro.
Yeah.
And just make sure that if season 5 it being the last season, bro,
Yeah.
they better do the show justice. I
Yeah.
better not find out that season 5 of The Boys and all this build up and everything that's been going on in this universe is going to lead up to another 6 or
Yeah.
worse. You feel me?
Yeah, I mean, even 6, man.
To me, bro, if
a 6
season
is, go ahead.
if season 5 is not at least an 8,
Oof.
that's gonna be my Game of Thrones, where the ending did not justify the show.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my
Yeah.
shit, bro.
I feel you, man. I feel you on that.
And like,
man.
and giving it a 6, I mean, it's still a fair score. I mean, it's not. The season is not bad. I don't think it's bad or terrible, or anything, or unbearable or anything like that. But it just. It was just
has
fair.
its flaws.
It was just fair, man. It was just fair compared to the other seasons, dude. It wasn't there. It just didn't hit as compared to the other ones. But that's pretty much it. With that being said, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.
Peace.
See ya.